Very good afternoon, everyone. I, on behalf of PhD Chamber and my own, welcome you all to our fourth in the series MDR session. And the title is Preparing for Licensing Norms for Class A and Class B Medical Devices. So we have got fabulous response. Like in our previous sessions, we have received, 450 plus nominations from Pan India. And to take this session forward, I request Ms. Rama Venugopal to kindly moderate the session. I would like to briefly introduce her. Ms. Rama Venugopal is Executive Director, Value Added Corporate Services Private Limited, Chennai. And she is also President of Consultants Consortium of Chennai. She holds a degree in commerce and has 27 years of consulting experience, having worked across various industries, spreading over marketing, sales, business development, and operations in management consulting. She's also a member of TIE Chennai, where she has picked up her passion for mentoring startups. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Welcome you to this wonderful session today.
Thank you so much, Rimni. Very warm welcome and good afternoon to all the eminent speakers of the day and the excellent, wonderful audience. Almost, I guess it's full. It's a full houseful session. This is a wonderful initiative from PhD Chamber because as an industry body, Chamber has been contributing immensely to guide the industry to meet the regulatory requirements that are going to be these requirements which are mandatory for the medical device industry, and Chamber has picked up the right time to roll out a series of sessions for the industry and the stakeholders in the medical devices sector. As those of you in the industry are very well aware that we are inching closer to the rollout of the mandatory licensing norms and the regulatory requirements for category A and category B devices. And of course, this industry is under transition. All of you are aware that the announcement was made almost about 13-14 months ago. Industry is also gearing up, but as the D-Day is getting closer, too many requests from the industry seeking for guidance and support for smooth sailing and the smooth transition to enable the industry to meet the requirements. Unfortunately, when the announcements have happened, we all got into a pandemic crisis, and then industry was struggling, trying to be the supply chain for a critical time like a pandemic, and also trying to meet marketplace requirements, both in the domestic market as well as in the international market. More and more such sessions and series are required from the Chambers of Commerce, and this is a laudable initiative. I think the industry, it shows the interest of the industry when looking at the number of the registrations and the participation, and we have already completed 3 sessions. This is the 4th in the series. It's a very interesting topic, and licensing norms for category A and category B, and we have eminent speakers, and we will be listening to all the speakers, and then towards the end we will open up the Q&A session. Maybe all the request all the participants to drop their queries in the chat box. All the speakers will address the queries. We have a wide range of representation from experts from the conformity assessment domain, from the regulators, and from the industry also. So let's start today's session. I don't want to take much of the time. So as I was mentioning, this is the 4th session in the series on MDR-17, and today's topic is preparing medical device industry for licensing norms for Class A and Class B category of medical devices. And so today's session will have key discussions around regulations of the medical devices and which are the recent amendments and regulatory announcements that are happening in the country. And we also have a session on the steps that are involved to seek licensing for Class A and Class B devices and products. And we also have a session on QMS, that is Quality Management System Requirements for Medical Devices. Then how to demonstrate product compliance as per the regulatory norms. There is a session. And then there will be an industry voice, industry representation on the challenges faced by the medical devices manufacturers. This next 2.5 hours is going to be extremely interesting, and requesting all the audience to stay tuned and keep sharing their queries in the chat box. We would like to initiate the session today with a welcome address from Professor Anil Kumar Gupta ji, who's the regional convener representing Healthcare Committee in PhD Chamber. Welcome, Gupta ji. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gopal. Dear friends, I have the sacred duty of welcoming you, our colleague, Mr. Madhusudan, which has some very pressing issue, so he couldn't come despite his very best efforts, and I have been given this honor, duty, and I will share it. Let me tell you that we are delighted to welcome you all at PhD Chamber of Commerce in Chandigarh branch. This is the fourth in the series of the session on medical devices, and we are discussing, and I have also shared my views on it. And my dear friend, this fourth is focused on preparing for licensing norms for Class A and Class B medical devices. I don't have to dwell at what Class A is, what Class A is. We will touch it when I give the other introduction. But then in this licensing and preparing for licensing norms, we have got lined up a very eminent speakers, and they are nationally and internationally known. Those who have participated earlier, they are aware about it. And I share the list of the distinguished speakers we have lined up. They are Dr. Ravikant Sharma, Deputy Director Controller, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. He has been regularly contributing, and his contribution has been hugely appreciated. Then there is Mr. M.G. Sathaiya Nindra, consultant and trainer, global certification, absolutely essential if you have to succeed in manufacturing and exporting Class A and B medical devices. Mr. Hemant Bhardwaj, founder and president of Global Medical Devices Expert Foundation. Great. Then Dr. P.K. Minocha, Director, Merrill Life Sciences. Incidentally, I know him. I have met him when I was invited by the Merrill organization at their plant to come and contribute. Dr. Sanjeev Rehlan, Chief Executive Officer at Cerex Overseas, and he's a member of Association of Indian Medical Devices Industry. We have got address from Ms. Rama Benukwal, as my colleague Ramneet has already shared. She has plenty of accolades, including the President Consultants Consortium of Chennai. And we have got industry members, and I've recently Mr. Nantatra Das Gupta, co-chair Medical Devices Committee, PhD Chamber, has also joined. And welcome, sir. And medical devices manufacturer, plenty of them are there. And those who wish to be the manufacturer, they have also joined. And I'm very happy to share with you that participation has been immense. I will say that it has just exploded. When we started with the first video conferencing on first lecture on this series, we were expecting 100 will be coming. Lo and behold, it touched 300 plus. And this time, it is nearly 500 persons. Amazing. That shows both the commitment of PhD, Chamber of Commerce, and the participants. This is Sunrise Industries, and everybody wants to participate, contribute, and take India ahead in this field of medical devices. My dear sir, I will also express my gratitude to the participants for attending the session. And without wasting much time, I like to share my views on this. So, my dear friends, everybody knows a little bit of this. I won't take much time, but that 15 minutes allotted to me, I will not like take 15 minutes, but less than that. Though I am not from industry, but I am from the hospital background. worked in two very best institutes, AIMS New Delhi and the PJ Chandigarh. Medical devices most essential for the best outcomes. And in an institution like AIMS and PJ, nothing is moved by the doctor, the consultant, the treating physician, unless he is provided with the best infrastructure. Since I was in the head of the hospital at PJ for more than 2.5 decades, on many occasions, the doctors complained, hey, medical device is not up to the mark. I will not do it. I will not mince words. When I started with the Ayushman Bharat, some of the devices we purchased, they were of not of good quality, and my doctors refused. Hey, saying that if the patient comes to PGI and maybe in AIMS, they are looking for the best outcome, and they cannot provide best outcome unless the best medical device and best other infrastructure is provided to them. And we on our part definitely worked on it. So my dear friends, medical devices, most of them are either the manufacturer of medical devices or aspire to the medical device manufacturer of the medical devices. They know what class A, what class B, what class C, and what class D is. Of course, class A is from low to moderate type of technologies involved. And the government on its part is working very hard that the manufacturing of such devices of quality one which meets international standard is available both for the domestic market and also for the export. In this context, though this has been spoken obscene number of times, that India is importing 80% of the medical devices. The present market of the medical devices is touching between 10 to 11 billion US dollars, which turns out to be 75,000 crore rupees. And how much we manufacture? We manufacture only 20%. We meet only 20% of the market. And 80% is we are dependent on export. But when you see the trajectory of the medical devices, my dear friends, the estimates by the experts, by the government, they say by 2025, only 3 years ahead of us, it may touch 50 billion US dollars, 5-time increase. And there are obvious reasons also, which I will also share. And government wants not only we manufacture, we meet the requirements of our own domestic market, we also become the exporters. Presently, our export is quite low. Our imports are very high, but with the policy decision taken by this government, the initiative taken by them, and the lot of enthusiasm shown both by the professional bodies like PhD Chamber of Commerce and the industry people, this sunrise industry is going to prove that it truly is sunrise. There are plenty of what has happened. Plenty of efforts are being made by the government. Policy decision I have shared with you. They have already come up with PLI also, production linked incentive. Very recently, government allotted 3,400 crore rupees for this. Government has come up with the parks. 2 parks are very close to us, rather 3. Himachal, Haryana in Karnal, Uttar Pradesh, and many more. And recently, about a month back, the Haryana government even advertised, come, get the allotment, get all the processes, get into the motion, get involved. And they committed that they will do everything. What I understand from the discussion with the bureaucrats there, they anticipate 5,000 crore investment in the medical devices park they are planning in Himachal Pradesh. And they anticipate that there will be roughly 10,000 employment, as employment is very essential in our country also. So my dear friend, government is working very hard. The demand of the medical devices has exploded, which everybody knows is the reasons are various. COVID led to decrease in certain devices, but there is huge improvement in vitro devices. Class A and Class B was needed tremendously. And one of the speakers said that in India, the vaccination is nearly touching, COVID vaccination nearly touching 200 crores. And many of you are aware, and I'm very happy to share with you, the Indian company at the very outset produced 500 million syringes. If I'm wrong, kindly correct at your level. But I believe it is Hindustan syringes at a very short notice at the onset of the COVID-19. Oh, what is this? This is Class A device. So, my dear friends, health insurance presently it is estimated that 20% of the people are covered by the medical insurance. The demand will go up. Similarly, the earning capability of the people is increasing. It is anticipated that by 2025, each home will have around $12,000 income, and that available funds for the welfare of the health will be there. There will be people will be coming. Already the present day hospital recently after COVID, though there is a COVID in Europe and little bit in India also, but hospitals are full. They have crossed the limit. The pre-COVID time, in my own PGI, where the average was around 10,000 patients a day in the OPD, it is already crossed 10,000 now. There is huge investment is taking place in a health infrastructure. 22 aims have come up, but if you know, the industry people know that almost every big house in the country is planning investment in healthcare, be it hospital, be it dispensaries. There have been plenty, every district in the country has a medical college. Plenty of doctors are coming. The knowledge, attitudes, desires, behavior of the people is they are no more going to the ojas, they are coming to the hospitals. There will be tremendous need of medical devices. And lo and behold, medical tourism is also taking a big shape. And India presently is one of the big leaders. And though I don't wish to be a political one, but then there are plenty of problems with the China by the most of the countries in the world. You know, Ukraine, Russia war and blah, blah, blah. So people are looking towards India. We have the talent. We have the government which is committed, and we have organizations like PhD, Chamber of Commerce, and innovative people like you. You are very interested to come up with. So, my dear friends, without wasting much of time, there are many issues which will be addressed both by the government, by the bodies, and maybe other people. This is a Sunrise organization. Pull your socks, get going, and the first and the foremost step is getting the norms and the licenses. I wish, hope, believe, trust we will be on the top of the world in exporting quality medical devices. Over to experts. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
Thank you for setting up the tone for the today's session, Professor. You have actually given rich insights about the growth of the healthcare services in the country. Very positive note, and it has actually thrown open a different dimension to the audience. Today we are talking about a session which is connected to the medical device industry, but as user industry, hospitals and healthcare organizations being the services, they are the biggest users of the medical equipments and the medical devices. When that industry is going to have an exponential growth, and it is also going to need the support of domestic manufacturing of medical devices in the country. And you have actually touched upon live wire topics like the imports that are hitting the roof in the country. And this is the time for us to focus on strengthening our domestic markets. Thank you so much for those wonderful insights and setting up the tone for the today's session. And over to our next speaker, we welcome Mr. Atindra Das Gupta, co-chair of Medical Devices Committee of PhD Chamber. We welcome Mr. Das to share his views, and we can see Ravikant Sharma ji. Sir, good afternoon. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Atindra Das Gupta ji.
Ma'am, he is yet to join.
Is yet to join, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just
yeah, we can move on to
proceed with the session?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Ravikant Sharma ji, sir, it is a pleasure to have you with us, and as we are getting closer to the D-Day, you know, more and more such supportive sessions to help the industries of immense value. Just give me 1 minute to introduce sir formally. Sir doesn't need an introduction, but however, it is our duty to do it. Just a second. Just give me 1 second, please.
Ma'am,
yeah.
Mr. Tantra has joined.
Has joined, is it?
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Atindra ji. Mr. Atindra Das Gupta, co-chair of Medical Devices Committee, PhD Chamber. We welcome you to this today's session, and over to you, sir, for your remarks.
Tantra sir, can you hear us?
Maybe this is a technical glitch or something from his side.
Tantra sir, can you hear us? Or we can proceed with the session, ma'am.
Yeah, just a second. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So just welcome to Dr. Ravikant Sharma ji. And just a quick introduction. Sir doesn't need an introduction. The whole industry knows about him. By qualification, sir is MSc and PhD, and he is the acting Deputy Drugs Controller of India at CDSCO, FDA Bhavan at New Delhi. Sir is heading the Medical Device and Diagnostics Division at CDSCO, and he's looking after the regulatory side of medical devices and IVDs in the country. He is actively involved in drafting the medical device rules of 2017, and which has already been implemented in the country with effect from 1st of January 2018. He has more than 20 years of rich experience in CDSCO, the longest journey. He played a vital role in implementing MD online portal for submission of applications pertaining to import and manufacturing of medical devices and in vitro diagnostics in the country. So today, Dr. Sharma ji is actually going to talk about the regulations of medical devices and the recent notifications, amendments that the industry should know. And these are all very dynamic announcements that are coming from the regulators to the country and to the industry and stakeholders. Over to you, sir. We are all waiting to hear your, listen to your presentation. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I like to thank PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for inviting me to give a talk on the medical device regulations. Rimneet Kaur was behind me just to give the presentation and I prepared and sent her in advance actually. So can you share my presentation, madam?
Sure, sir.
Thank you. So my talk would be today on the regulation of medical device and recent amendments, whatever we have done in the regulations. Today we are going to talk about the Class A and Class B medical devices. I will be focusing on the Class A and Class B, as Rimne ji has told me that today's this workshop is basically to talk on the Class A and Class B. Next slide, please.
Rimjit, can we have full screen, full slide mode, please? Sorry, sir, one second.
Ma'am, I'm already showing full screen.
Okay, then, thank you.
Next slide, please, madam.
Are you able to see, sir?
No, I can't see the second slide.
The screen is not moving.
The screen
It
is
is
not
not
moving.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not full screen.
It is not full screen, Rimjit. Please, it has.
पूरा मतलब all the slides we are able to see in the side.
Okay.
Go to slideshow and make it full.
Can you move the next slide? Yes.
Are you
Yes.
able?
All right. Yes, I can see now. Thank you very much. So I will cover during my presentation the introduction part, the regulation of medical devices, what are the salient points of medical device rules 2017, the standards followed by the applicants, manufacturer and importers, what about the material vigilance program, and what about the new notification for regulation of medical devices which we have published recently, and what are the achievement of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Next slide, please. Move to next slide, please.
Sir, I have already moved.
No, we can't.
No,
We are-
you go to.
I think sir, I think you
You are
can
not
share.
going to the full slide mode, Rimne ji. आप slide show में जाके full screen में जाइए. फिर
Sir,
अपने
I
आप
did that only.
But
I
we
don't
are
know.
not seeing, no. We are seeing all the slides like in the editing view.
Yes, that is the third slide, I believe.
Yeah, so can you see now?
Now I can see. Yes. Next one. Yes. Hold
Now
on.
you can see.
Yes, I can see. Go back. Go back. Yes. The
Yeah,
next
अभी
one.
ठीक हो गया.
Next one. Yes. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yes. The total market size of the medical device and in vitro diagnostic kits is approximately 11 billion US dollar. Out of that, 7 billion US dollar is for import and 4 billion US dollar for export. So we are importing many medical devices. The project growth rate is 20%. Import, as I mentioned, that more than 75% of the total market size. Only notified medical devices and IVDs are under regulation currently. There are approximately 1400 manufacturing sites of the medical devices in India, and there is 100% foreign direct investment for medical devices. Next. So the medical device rules 2017 have been implemented from 1st of January 2018, which is applicable for all the medical devices. And these rules are harmonized with the international regulatory practices and provide a comprehensive legislation for the regulation of medical devices like import, clinical investigation, manufacturing, sale, and distribution. The rules are at par with the international practices. Next slide, please. Now we need to understand what is the scope of the medical device rules 2017. The medical device rules are applicable to the substances used for in vitro diagnostics. All IVD products are under regulation and licensing regime. You can take example of any one clinical chemistry reagents, thyroid, infectious, cancer markers, rubella, tuberculosis, etc. All diagnostic kits are under regulation. and surgical dressings, bandages, staples, sutures, ligatures, blood and blood components collection bag with or without anticoagulant solution. The substances including mechanical contraceptive like condoms, intrauterine devices, and the devices which are notified under Drugs and Cosmetic Act from time to time, these are under regulation. What are those medical devices? You can see in the next slide. Next one, yes. So if you see that slide, this slide elucidates that from serial number 1 to serial number 10, we started these medical device regulation from 2005. Then afterwards, this ablation device was under regulation from 2016. Next slide, please. The products from serial number 16 to 24, these products used to be regulated as drug. But now, after implementation of the medical device rules, these products are regulated as a medical device as per the international practices. Next slide, please. The 4 medical devices are under regulation from 1st of January 2021, and these are the nebulizer, blood pressure monitoring device, digital thermometer, glucometer. Next one. These 8 medical devices from 29 to 36. These 8 medical devices were under regulation from 1st of April 2021. These are the high-tech equipments like MRI, CT scan, dialysis machine, PET equipment, X-ray machine, defibrillator, etc. And ultrasound was under regulation from 1st of November 2021. So as of now, I would like to mention here that currently we are regulating 37 categories of medical devices which are under licensing. Next slide, please. These are the 12 chapters in the medical device rules, elaborative and giving the detailed information like the classification of medical device, the manufacturing schedule, chapter 4, chapter 5 talks about the import of medical devices, chapter 6 about the labeling requirements, chapter 7 about the clinical investigation of the new IVD, chapter 10 if you see the regulation of laboratories for carrying out test and evaluation, chapter 11 for sale of medical devices, etc. Next slide, please. These chapters are supported by the 8 schedules. Schedules talks about the requirement of the documents. So first schedule talk about the classification, second schedule talk about the fees for import, for manufacturing, for clinical investigation. Third schedule talks about the registration of notified bodies. These are the third party assessment of the Class A and Class B medical devices. Fourth schedule talks about the documents required for import and manufacturing. And fifth schedule is very, very important about quality management system and so on. Next slide, please. Unlike drugs, the medical devices are regulated as per the risk-based classification. And as per the international practices, all the medical devices are classified into 4 categories. That is Class A medical devices, which are low risk, that is clinical chemistry reagents or tongue depressor, like low moderate, Class B like catheter or cannula, moderate high risk Class C that is orthopedic implants or cancer markers or infectious disease diagnostic kits like COVID kit also that fall under the Class C, and Class D are the highly risk class that is heart valve, etc. Next. Now, I spoke about the notified medical devices, but what about those medical devices which are not under regulation? I can give you the example, the oxygen concentrator, the pulse oximeter, the gloves, the PPEs. We don't know how much quantity is imported into our country. We are not aware, nobody is aware how much value these are imported. And that the most important part is about the quality and safety. We are not aware about that. During the COVID has taught a lesson to us. And let me apprise your audience that we were not having even a single manufacturer of the COVID kits in India. But today we have more than 150 manufacturers and importers. We are catering not only to our population, but we are exporting to other countries also. So to have this view in mind, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare contemplated and come out with the definition of the medical device. so that we cannot notify in piece and bits. So what is the definition? You can see in the next slide. This is the definition that is accepted by the International Medical Device Regulatory Forum, the developed countries, and by WHO also. If you go through that, all devices including instrument, apparatus, appliances, implants used for diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, treatment, investigation, replacement or modification, supporting or sustaining life, disinfection of medical device, and control of consumption. It means the medical devices which are not notified yet, if they fall under this definition, these will be under regulation. But you cannot regulate those medical devices overnight. So another notification was published by Government of India, Health Ministry, that what should be the roadmap. So the roadmap is that the all Class A and Class B medical devices will be regulated from 1st of October 2022. This period is about the registration period. Means they can register their product on the Sugam portal, on the online portal, so that the regulator will be knowing who is who, what is imported, what is the trade name, what is the brand name, what is the composition of the medical device. The Class C and Class D will be under licensing regime from 1st of October 2023. So now focus of today's workshop is about Class A and Class B. Let me reiterate again that those who have not registered their product, they should come forward. There is no fees at all. There are no much requirements of the documents, and they can register the product. And most important part is that this number is computer auto generated. It will issued automatically and you can label on your product. Next one. This is a very, very important slide. This talks about the licensing regime. We have the different functions. We have the federal system in our country. If you see the import of all classes, Class A, B, C, and D are regulated by Central Licensing Authority, that is Drugs Controller General of India. The manufacturing of Class A and Class B is looked after by the State Licensing Authority, and Class C and Class D by the Central Licensing Authority, because these are highly critical in nature. Permission to conduct clinical investigation. If the predicate device is not available and the device is new, then the permission is granted by Central Licensing Authority. The sale is looked after by the State Licensing Authority. And who are the QMS verification bodies? For A and B, that is notified body, and for C and D, the notified medical device officers from CDSC. Next slide, please. So what is the scope of notified bodies? We are talking about the Class A and Class B. Only Class A and Class B medical devices are to be, manufacturing site are to be audited by the notified body. These notified bodies are registered by CDSCO. There are 11 notified bodies. As soon as the application comes to the State Licensing Authority, automatically they forward to the notified body for audit. What is the mandate of notified body? To verify the quality management system conformance at manufacturing site, verification of essential requirements, verification, validation of manufacturing process through objective evidence and through regulatory provisions available, conformity of material with defined specifications, and responsibility for ensuring conformance to QMS and conditions of license and registration. These are the function and mandate of notified body, which goes for auditing of Class A and Class B medical devices. Next slide, please. So the manufacturer shall apply through an identified online portal. The portal is functional. They can apply to our online portal as per the 4th schedule, and fees is specified in the 2nd schedule. Let me tell you categorically that no audit for Class A medical device is required prior to grant the license. Means as soon as you are applying for class A medical devices, there is no need for audit. Immediately, if you fulfill with the requirement, the license will be granted. But after grant of license, within 120 days, the notified body can audit the manufacturing side. What does it mean? Because the class A medical devices are least risk associated, and secondly, there should be no disruption of the supply chain. The audit for class B medical device is necessary prior to grant of manufacturing license, and the audit shall be carried out within 90 days from the date of application. Means the timelines are defined in the law. Once you apply, once the applicant apply within 90 days from the inspection, the audit has to be carried out for class B medical devices. The notified body shall furnish its report to state licensing authority within 30 days. So what I'm trying to say, now it is not so that you have applied and you are waiting for the audit or you are waiting for the license. The timelines are defined. So if you add within 120 days, you can get the license after auditing and after verifying the conformity assessment. Next slide, please. The state licensing authority shall carry out inspection for class A and class B at least 2% of the total audits carried out by the notified bodies. Means to have a check and balance whether notified bodies, they are doing function well, what is their compliance observations. So state licensing authority can also audit. A license shall remain in perpetuity subject to the payment of license retention fee. Means there is no validity of the license. Why this provision is kept? To do ease of doing business, to make in India the vision of Honorable Prime Minister. So after 5 years, the manufacturer or the applicants or the importer, they can submit the fees, the retention fee, and automatically, if it deems fee valid, if they have submitted the fee. If the license holder is not able to fee within time, then 2% of the license retention fee for every month he has to pay. That is the fine. If in time they are not submitting the fee. Next slide, please. As I spoke about the quality management system, because to ensure the quality of the product, there are two things. One is it vertical standard, one is the horizontal standard. The horizontal standards are verified as per the Schedule 5 of the medical device rule, which is at par with the ISO 13485. What does it talk? What is the management responsibility? What is the control of documents, control of records, competence, awareness and training, very, very important. Design and development, purchasing information, control of non-conforming product. For example, if the product is not complying for the intended use, whatever it is claimed, then it is non-conforming. How to deal with that? That is very, very important. Analysis of data. If there is a complaint, what is the corrective and preventive action to go to arrive at the conclusion? What is the root cause of analysis? Consumer related processes and environmental requirements. This is a very, very important slide with respect to the quality management system. Next slide, please. Now, if you have the clear regulation, if you have the clear laboratories, then you need the standards. And the medical device shall conform to the standards laid down by Bureau of Indian Standards, which is a standards making body. They have formulated and drafted more than 1400 drafts, this standards for medical devices. If there is no availability of BIS, then the applicant can follow the ISO standard. If ISO standard is not available and that is for new medical device, then they can adopt the validated manufacturer standards. Next slide, please. Medical device innovation. Until and unless you don't have the capacity to design new medical devices, you cannot reduce the import of the product. We are all concerned We are importing 75% of medical devices. Why can't we reduce it? Why can't we, make in India, and why we can import, but the ratio of the import should be less. And that the most important part is the innovation. The startup, the IITs, institutions, research institution, they should come forward, and they should have an agreement with the multinationals, that is public-private partnership, so that they can develop a new technology, and they can design new medical devices as per the customer need, so that the new medical device not only be accepted in India, but it can be accepted any part of the world. Next slide, please. The Metro Vigilance program, once you approve the product, and if it is in the market, and if device is not functioning properly, then how to go about? How can we regulate? So Metro Vigilance Program of India was launched on 6th July 2015 at Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, Ghaziabad, which is acting as a national coordination center. Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences is acting as a national collaborating center. And CDSU is working as a national regulator, including National Health System Resource Center, NHSRC, is giving the technical support. So, sorry, if there is a problem or adverse reaction or malfunctioning or quality issue, it can be informed to Metro Vigilance Program. They have the expert. They will analyze the root cause of analysis. And if the product is failing due to the quality, then it needs to be recalled. It may be due to the handling of the device. It is not necessary that always the problem is with the quality of the product. So that is come out when there is a root cause of analysis, and there is a what is the root cause of the particular problem. Next slide, please. Recall of medical device, I was talking. Unlike drugs, if there is any problem, the authorized agent or the manufacturer, they shall immediately initiate procedure to withdraw the medical device in question from the market, and immediately from the inform to the competent authority, so that the quality which is not proper, substandard quality product should not be used by our consumer, our patients. So what we are asking, if there is any recall, how much lots they have imported, how much lots they have recalled, how much lots or quantity is in the stock, and what they are going to do, whether it will be re-exported or whether it will be destroyed. So in case of medical devices, the recall and the Metro Vigilance is very, very at the utmost priority for the public safety. Next slide, please. Now I'm coming to the achievements. Let me tell you that regulators, they are receiving all application online. No offline applications are received for registration of medical device, for testing laboratory, for clinical investigation, for notified body registration, etc. Now, if the applicant knows that what is the class of the product, then it is very, very clear. Then they can upload the documents accordingly. So to keep that in mind, CDSU has classified more than 26 categories of medical devices, and these are more than 5,000 medical devices in consultation with the stakeholders, and we have published in our website, so that the applicant can refer and they can submit the documents as per the classification. The grouping of medical device and IVDs along with the essential principle checklist has been finalized, and that is available in CDSU website. We have notified more than 235 medical device officers who are auditing and inspecting the medical device manufacturing site for Class C and Class D. Next slide, please. CDSU has registered 11 notified bodies who are engaged for the auditing of Class A and Class B medical devices. We have notified 5 central medical device testing laboratories who can test the legal samples. CDSU has registered 24 laboratories for the testing of medical devices on behalf of the manufacturer. If a manufacturer doesn't have the facility, they can go to these laboratories and these laboratories are NABL accredited, and these are very well audited by our medical device officers, and thereafter these are registered. The guidance document for essential principle on safety and performance, and for free sale certificate, marketing standing certificate, and non-convention certificate. These are the tender documents. So guidance documents is already available. Our applicants can refer these guidance document and they can apply online. Next slide, please. CDSO continuously organizing workshop to impart training to the state licensing authority who are dealing with the Class A and Class B licensing. We have uploaded the FAQs for regulation of medical devices and IVDs, regular interaction with the stakeholders to resolve the issue pertaining to the regulatory pathway. And most important, we have established a PRO, a public relation officer at our CDSO headquarters. The startups or the new manufacturers, they can come, they can clarify their problems, their doubts, and they can visit from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on all working days. Next slide, please. So that is my lesson. What this changes call for innovation, and innovation leads to progress, and innovation is only the way to win. Without innovation, we cannot cut the import, we cannot reduce the import at all. I mean, I should say that design drugs are discovered, but devices are designed as per the customer needs. आज हमको जरूरत है एक cardiologist का, no, this stent should be like this. That's why the medical device life cycle is very, very short. It's not like drug. We are using the paracetamol for the last so many years. But today you are saying one model of the medical device, after 4 months you will see the another model as per the customer requirements. So innovation is very, very important. And the final message for all of us, take care of the patient and everything else will follow. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your kind attention and patience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for that crisp presentation. You have actually brought out all the latest notifications, recent amendments. We are all reading and, trying to understand and capture stakeholders, industry, everybody, but still it's all presented in a nutshell. And that emphasis and focus on innovation is very critical, very important. And this is where even the government of India is calling for a good collaboration between industry and academia. Academia is the place where innovations are happening, and this focus on innovation, and because even startups and innovators also need to understand regulations, it is very, very critical. And right from the design stage, they need to understand all this. Thank you so much for sharing all those insights, and kindly request you to, maybe we have the Q&A session towards the end, sir, so maybe the audience also can,
all right.
There are questions which we have also received and we will also share. And thank you so much. Thank you once again, sir, for educating this industry, and your efforts to stay connected with the industry and stakeholders is truly appreciable, because we have seen many such sessions, and every time the industry says the regulators are very helpful, and the discussions help them a lot, because the transition time, they are getting a lot of doubts. They need a lot of hand holding, and sessions like this are of immense help. And thanks to PhD Chamber for the initiative also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ramnit, is Mr. Das available?
No, ma'am, I think we'll move with the program as scheduled.
As scheduled, is it?
Yeah.
Right. And so let's move on to our next speaker. Let's welcome Mr. MG Satyendra, the consultant and trainer from Global Certifications. Sir is one of the senior most experts in the industry in the medical devices domain. It's a pleasure to have you here today, sir. Let me just introduce sir briefly. And sir is also a member of Consultants Consortium of Chennai. Yes, is the screen visible? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Satyendra, sir, is the founder of Global Certifications, and he's an expert and trainer for the medical device industry and various other sectors also. He has got about 40 years of experience in the product certification domain, and he's served as the director of Bureau of Indian Standards. He was also heading CSA International and also heading Intertech South and West. He was also an assessor for NABL and an NABCB for medical device management systems. He's a faculty and regular trainer for IMA and IMDMA. And sir is actually deeply connected with the startups and the innovation ecosystem. He's a consultant for startups, incubation and innovation center at IIT Kanpur. So we'll be talking about his session today is about product compliance as per the MDR, medical device regulations. So over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rama ma'am. Thank you. So let me share the presentation now. So I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Full screen
Yes,
mode,
sir.
please. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
sir.
correct. Yes.
Okay, friends, very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Ramaji. Thank you, Rimnit and PhD Chamber for giving me this opportunity once again. So we will briefly talk about how do you determine the product compliance. So without wasting much time, let me move on. So as you already heard from Dr. Ravikant Sharma, the product compliance in brief from his medical device regulation presentation, you would have seen that there are three areas where the product has to meet. Number one is compliance to standards, on which he did show a slide, which is given in chapter 2, clause 7, where he talked about Indian standards, and that is primarily what we are going to discuss. And of course, the clinical trials also, where applicable, format test. There will be a separate presentation perhaps later on this. Quality management system, incidentally, my associate Hemant is going to talk about it. So all these three together, kind of we can say that, okay, now I comply to the medical device regulations. So this is where it is stated. Again, what Doctor showed, I have just extracted it from the regulation that the medical device shall conform to the standards laid down by Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, under the BIS Act, or as may be notified by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This also happens. We know that during the first innings, if I call so, of the COVID, MOHW had specified many European and American standards also for PP. So ultimately, it's the prerogative of the government. The first priority, as you know, is the BIS standard. And of course, he clearly told when there is no BIS standard, we go to ISO or IEC. Now, my primary aim is to tell you how to locate those standards and what do you do to meet conformity to those standards. And of course, the final thing is the validated manufacturer standards. So it has to undergo some validation. In fact, we are also preparing a program with the Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone for this, how to validate a startup's product when there are no national or international standards available based on ISO 17029. Right. So where do we go to locate BIS standards? I have provided all the links because it's a short 20-minute presentation. We cannot go too much into details here. So what happens is when you press the link, or if you go to the bis.gov.in website and go to standards and then go to the published standards, you get a screen with a lot of departments. Now, this is a direct link to Medical and Hospital Equipment Committee. So you get a screen something like this, which classifies all the devices depending on the area of use. Like we have surgical instruments, we have orthopedics, gynecology, neurosurgery. So what the blue figure opposite indicates the number of standards published. So like our friend told, that there are almost 1400 standards. So you can find out from various committees the number of standards. So why do you require this? Because you may be making an equipment which is for surgical use, maybe for anesthesia or biological evaluation, IVD. So you can go directly to that committee and click on that. Suppose you are going for health informatics, you go to MHD-17, click on this 104, and then you get the whole list of standards, which looks something like this. So I have clicked, I think, on the health, which committee is this? Yeah, one of them anyway. Sterilizers. For example, you have all these standards on sterilizers, syringes for medical use, all the hospital equipment committee. So you get all this. Then, so you depend on your department, whichever is your area of work, you go there, open that, and open the standard. When it is published, how many amendments, everything you get. Now you want to buy them or you want to have them. So the wonderful thing is all Indian standards are free, except those which are direct adoptions of ISO and IEC. And this is the website where you download them. standardsbis.bsbedge.com. So once you go there, or even from the other one, the link will take you there. So where you see buy, you have to pay amount through your card, whatever normal payment gateway. But where you have this download in front of it, you can directly download. See here also in the previous screen, you can see that there are 3 standards of free download. 2 standards which are again here also you can see. They are again a adoption of ISO standard 5951 and -2. So these are to be bought. Here also you don't have to worry. The cost is much, much less. If it is $300 when you buy from ISO, it will be 300 or 400 rupees here. So even there, it's a good deal. But 80% of them are free and you can simply download them. All you need to do is you have to register yourself. You get a username. When you go to this link, you'll see that you will have to register, get a username and password. After that, anytime you go, it will take you to that link and you can simply download the standard. Now, the second option, you don't have an Indian standard. So what are the options as told? Either IEC or ISO. IEC, or the International Electrotechnical Commission, publishes all standards which are electrical in nature. So by and large, electromedical equipment and related accessories and all that. Now, when you go to the link, again, I have given you the direct link to make your life easy. Just go there, click 60601. The major chunk of standards are covered under 60601. As you can see, there are 183 active standards. So you can go to them. Of course, you cannot, you'll have to buy them. If you click on the standard, it will open up the scope. So if you want to know what is the scope of that particular standard, you can click on that icon, this IEC 60601, and then you get the scope of the standard. For purchasing, you'll have to buy them. See, other alternative I would say is that look at the area, go back to the BIS website, see if they have adopted this standard, then you can buy it in Indian currency and buy at a much lesser rate. But the only word of caution is many times the Indian standard may be a version behind the latest version of ISO, and IEC both. So this is something which we have to live with. By the time the Indian standards are adopted by Bureau of Indian Standards, at times it is little late. So, 2018 may be a standard, but then BIS website may show 2012 version still as the current version. So that is about IEC. Now we go to the next one. Sorry. The ISO standards. Again, there is a link here. So where do we go, or why do we go to the ISO website? We know that a lot of equipments are electromedical, but then there are also equipments which are not electromedical. Many of them, surgical instrumentations, and then there are IVDs, and there are many of them which are not connected to any supply, but are medical equipment. So if you go to the IEC website and say, the link, I'm looking for medical devices, you see 841 results have been found. I have just put a screenshot here, so you can go there and look into all those standards, whichever may be applicable to you. Next comes, there are two important standards, two general standards, 16142-1 and -2. These gives the essential principles and requirements for all the non-IVDs part 1, IVD is the part 2. So what is there in this standard is it gives a lot of cross-referred standards or product standards which can be readily used for assessment. So this has a huge list of standards within this standard, plus all the basic principles. How do you meet the safety and performance? So you can refer to that. In fact, BIS incidentally has combined all these two standards with 13485 and published what is known as 23485. So you could buy 23485 paying the Indian currency. You have 16142 part 1 and part 2 both in that. Now we go to the next one. So we have understood how to locate the standard, Indian standard, IEC and ISO. Now what is the option? Now you are to show the conformity. So one option is the BIS certification, little spelling wrong. So how do you do it? Apply to BIS if there is a product specific standard. So you found in the BIS list, yes, there is a standard. Get it tested in an NABL accredited lab if available. There are some 24 labs as Ravi ji showed. You will have to look whether your product is covered by the scope of that. I have also given the link for NABL website. BIS testing requires some in-house facilities. So what are those in-house facilities? We'll have to see. There is a product specific manual made by BIS. Just a second, somebody at the door. Sorry, these are the hazards of doing the program from home. Okay, you will need some in-house facilities. What are those facilities? You will get in the product manual of BIS. And this again, I have given you a link how to locate the product manual. So once you have all the facilities, your testing is done in an accredited lab and you download the report as well as all the application related formalities like your location, your details of your quality, production, testing equipment, personnel, etc., etc. BIS would register that application, then send someone from the branch office under which you are located. You may be in Gujarat, then the Ahmedabad office or the Surat office, whichever is near, they would come, verify all the credentials for which you had applied, look at that, review the test report, look at your competencies, and then the license is granted. So that basically is the process. But what happens when, this is the product manual. I have just taken a screenshot for the rubber gloves. See, it gives all that. What is the standard? What are the grouping guidelines? What do you mean by grouping guidelines? This also gives, suppose you are making a range of devices. What are the representative samples to be taken to cover the entire range? Now, this is for the gloves. You can see that there are two types. So these are the sizes. So different sizes are in one group. All those characteristics, gloves with the largest and smallest sizes are tested to cover all the sizes. So the classification is given. So you have everything in place before even you apply for that. Then, of course, it says it is based on the manufacturing and testing capabilities. So they look at that. What are your manufacturing capabilities? Up to what size you can manufacture? So it may be restricted. In spite of the range, it may be a cut down range if you don't have manufacturing facilities or testing facilities for the entire range. So what test equipment you should have? Again, the manual will have that. Like again, as part extract, this is, so the class number, what do you need? In generic terms, thickness gauge, steel rule, universal testing machine, etc., etc. So those type of details are given. Now these equipments you have to have, without which you don't get a license. So having understood that, what are the drawbacks? Very few medical devices are certified by BIS. Why? Because the demand was not there earlier. So which means you don't have a product manual for many of them. So the first application, let us say you are making a device for which there is no product manual, which means there is no licensing, then you will have to, accept that it is going to take some time. Because they have to make it based on your product. The product manual, gazetting the marking fee, a lot of things have to be done for the first license. The second fellow onwards has a, life becomes easy for them. Not many labs are accredited by BIS. So that is another issue. See, it's not only NABL. NABL is a prerequisite, and Bureau of Indian Standard further approves the lab because the labs have to meet certain terms and conditions, like, putting their testing charges on the BIS website, retaining the samples for 3 months after testing, because there have been labs which have misused, not, really tested the product. So BIS has the right to visit the lab anytime, uninformed, within 90 days after the testing, to ensure whether the sample which was tested is still there. So if you don't have a lab, what is the solution? You have to equip yourselves for all the tests. The license would be granted on the basis of what we call as factory testing. This has been going on for ages for X-ray machines. In fact, I was one of the initiators of the certification of X-ray machines. So even today, X-ray machine licenses are granted on the basis of testing all the requirements in the factory. So that may be an issue because you have to invest for all the facilities. So some startups may find this little difficult. There is another hitch. If you look at the BIS regulations, now this is something CDSCO and BIS would have to sort out. If the standard mark, now you say that, okay, there is a standard mark available, but there is a time gap. I would like to go to some other agency, or I would like to just test it and show the conformity, which is what the medical regulations allow that, but BIS won't allow. BIS says that if there is a standard mark specified for a product, nobody else can make a public claim through any advertisement, promotion, leaflets, pricelets, etc., etc., that his product conforms to the relevant Indian standard or carries the standard mark. So long as it's a new product, no BIS till now, yes, you are free to declare conformity to the Indian standard. So this is a caution to those who would like to go elsewhere. Though there is a BIS licensee for that product, sorry, you can't go anywhere. You will have to go to BIS. But if there is no standard mark issued for that product till now, you are welcome to go anywhere. So what are the other alternatives? The other alternative is go to an accredited lab if you have one. No need for BIS approval. There is an NABL accredited lab, get it tested. If you want a mark to show the conformity, you want an attestation, go to any accredited certification body. Certification bodies are accredited by National Accreditation Board for certification. So again, you go to NABCB website, the link of which is given. PCB is product certification bodies. So you will get a list of, a lot of them, and you can choose who has the capability to do it, who is near to you, who is commercially, viable and all. They can also come and witness, evaluate, and provide you with an attestation. Some examples of the well-known agencies. ETL is Intertek, UL, DECRA, KEMA, TÜV, DNV. I mean, there are many of them. So you could go to any of them. That is when there is no Indian standard, but you want to have a mark, you want to show conformity. Two routes. One is the lab route. Give the certificate to CDSCO along with that from an accredited lab, from an approved lab, or you could get a accredited body to witness it. If you have the facility, you don't want to go to BIS and there is no BIS, a mark already available for that product, so you could take this option. Apart from this, what happens? There are other tests required for clinical compliance, tests to validate your methods, tests for IVDs. Labeling is another requirement under Chapter 6. So if you just, open the medical device regulations and click test, so you will get some 110 results. But of course, many of them are document related, but you will know where the tests are required. So primarily it is conformity to the standard, which we have discussed today. It's not a complicated thing, but the complication is because today there are not many facilities. Even till today, after the COVID is almost subsiding, we are still struggling to test a ventilator developed by some boys of IIT Kanpur because there is no facility available. Everybody says there is a facility, but then they are all partial. When we look at the full performance test, no facility available. Now these boys are importing certain equipments to make their own lab full-fledged. So this costs. So that is where the problem exists. Maybe when the regulations get implemented, more and more people go for it, labs would come, because labs also have a commercial say in this, I don't want to invest when I don't get a return. So this is like a chicken and egg situation, as we call it. So maybe time will only tell how easy the method would become. Even today, PPEs, of course, there was a huge hue and cry that everybody would export, nothing happened. And then obviously the labs also didn't come. Even today, the situation is same as what it was earlier. Half tests here, half tests there. Nobody has the full facility. So this all, part of the game, can't help it, but that is the reality. Well, there are some forms also. When you go to medical device regulations, there are about 40 different forms to apply to the lab to, show how the compliance has been achieved and all that. We don't have time to go through all the forms, but they are simple and straightforward. So once you download the directive, which is again free, you can look into all that. So, well, friends, that I guess concludes in the time slot given to me. I hope you had a little, fair idea about what to do, how to locate the standards. So since the links have been given, I think your job should be easy. For any further information, welcome to contact me or directly or through the PhD chamber. I'll be more than glad to help all the startups and other people. Thank you very much. So that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that excellent presentation, sir. Wonderful presentation. Product compliance is critical, but at the same time, you have highlighted the testing infrastructure that is available in the country and maybe the gaps that are also prevailing in the system. Yes, there are standards, product standards, which are available and which are under preparation on continuous basis by BIS, or we do have international standards. These are the common questions that we come across at the marketplace about where to get the products tested, and then, do we need a BIS certification? Is the product certification is stipulated by regulator? These are the common FAQs, and yes, we do have a testing infrastructure in the country, but as far as medical devices are concerned, a lot more to be done. Maybe PhD chamber has to roll out regular sessions on product testing for medical devices and testing related requirements, because this is part of the national quality infrastructure, strengthening the quality infrastructure requirement also. Thanks so much for the detailed coverage, and some of this slides are really eye-opener, and maybe, yes, we have to keep on creating some marketplace conversations for the industry and stakeholders to strengthen their knowledge on product testing. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Then we can just move on to our next session. Our next topic is actually on quality management system requirements for medical devices. So we have the session on QMS from Hemant Bharadwaj, who is the founder and president of Global Medical Devices Experts Foundation. Just give me 1 second. I'll introduce Hemant. So Hemant is a senior, yes, please. Yeah. So he's the president of Global Medical Devices Experts Foundation, and he's a senior corporate affairs, policy, communications expert with experience across pharmaceutical, medical device industry, and development sector like health and environment and education. He has close to almost about 2 decades of experience, 16 years of experience in the field of GMP in implementing, guiding industry to implement GMP, ISO 13485, ISO 9001, research and development, manufacturing, pharmaceutical and medical devices in various functions in quality assurance, quality control, compliances, and regulatory affairs. He's also doing independent assessments as a lead assessor for medical devices rules 2017. So Hemant will be discussing about presenting to the audience about the quality management system requirements as per MDR-17. Over to you, Hemant. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to thank the PhD Chamber of Commerce as well as Rama ma'am and all the participants as well as the panel. So not taking so much time, maybe I am audible to you.
Yes, clear.
Go to the presentation directly. Yes. So today's session is based on the A and B, class A and B requirement, risk classification A and B as per the MDR 2017 GSR 78E. That is basically a regulatory requirement in India for the medical devices. So not taking so much time. So there are 5 reasons for the QMS to key success of the medical device stakeholders, whether it is those who are involved in the life cycle of the medical devices, from research, development, deploy, and the restrictions, anywhere, any one or more activities throughout the life cycle of medical device, the QMS is applicable for all the key stakeholders. So it gives you, it establishes the company process in a way that aligns the regulatory expectations. That means in India, the regulatory expectation, the compliance with respect to the Schedule 5th, that is QMS requirement in India for the class A and B manufacturer, also the C and D manufacturers. And it's also established the framework for how to do the business effectively, sustainably, and if you are sustainable, if you are stable and you are sustained in your systems, then you can grow. And it's also define the expectation and deliverables for the key processes that you have required for the effective and efficient performance of the processes. So also it's define the design controls and the risk management related to the medical device or its process or system which are implemented into the organization to achieve the conformity and the compliance with respect to the product, process, or system. Also the regulatory statutory requirement which are applicable. So it's based on the QMS foundation, and then QMS efforts need to start during the product development, evolve as you get closer to closer market release. So purpose of QMS, it's for the safe and effective medical device into the market. And then manufacturer continually produce the safe and effective medical device in the controlled manner. If you have established and implemented QMS and the QMS is also effective, then you can continuously deliver the medical device or medical device services to the market safe and effective manner. Also, the device comply with the generally recognized state of art. That means the implied need of customers or the safety standard or any performance standard which are applicable to the product. So also it covers the manufacturers have been a place of investigate reporting incident, as Mr. Dr. Sarma is already explained, the incident reporting material vigilance program in India for the medical devices. So if is there any incident or adverse event in use of the medical device or medical device article, how to report to the regional or national regulatory authority. And then as you know, the schedule 5th of MDR is based on the ISO 1345 or it is aligned with clauses of ISO 1345, all the requirement considering the national regional regulatory requirement. So medical device quality management system for the regulatory purposes to achieve the compliance with respect to the national, regional or the international regulatory requirement. If you are putting your device or services to the overseas market, and then primary objective to facilitate harmonized medical device regulatory requirement for the quality management system, then regulatory body use as a measure of legal compliance with the regulations. Like the ISO 1345 is not mandated by the government or the Ministry of Health. However, there is a draft rule has been published by the Ministry of Health for class A and B medical device for the voluntary certifications in October 2021 to take the 1345 certification for class A and B medical device which are not notified yet under the MDR. They will come under the mandatory licensing regime after 1st October 2022. So they require the ISO 1345 certification considering the requirement of Schedule 5th of MDR. Then the internal and external parties, including the certification bodies, used to access the organization ability to meet the customer and the regulatory requirement. Also, this the ISO 1345, this is a standalone, but it is based on the ISO 9001/2008 version. And then how it works, it's the standard ISO 1345, it works on the PDCA methodology, plan, do, check, and act. First, you plan what are the product you are going to manufacture and what are the conformity and compliance conformity requirement for the product and what are the compliance requirement considering the regulation which are applicable, and what is the process and the system you have to establish to achieve the conformity and compliance. Then you will execute the process and then improvement plan, and will check the effectiveness and efficiency of the implemented quality management system and or the product performance and safety after implementing the QMS. So accordingly, you will adjust after checking. Then if you receive any non-compliance or non-conformity, then you will act again, and then you will create a improvement plan and the cycle again completed in PDCA methodology. So first we need to understand what is the quality management system. As you know, in India, before MDR 2017, the quality management system requirement given in the DNC rule, Drug and Cosmetic Rule 1945 in Schedule M for medical devices and the draft Schedule M4 for the IVDs. So QMS and the GMP requirement are the same. So quality management, what is the quality management? Its aspect to overall management functions that determine the implement and quality policy. Quality policy, that means what you are going to put in the market in terms of the product or the services related to the medical device, and how to achieve the quality policy. What are the organizational structure that you have, and what are the responsibilities and procedures you required to perform the process, and resource you required to implementing the quality management system. That is called quality system. If you are combining both the terminologies, that becomes a quality management system, or you can say the GMP environment for the medical devices. So what is the structure of the quality management system? First is the management responsibility, who are responsible for all the resources which are required in terms of man, machine, method, and material requirement, and arranging all the work environment or infrastructural requirement and all the resources which is required to achieve conformity with respect to the product safety and the performance, also the compliance requirement to the regulatory and the statutory requirement which are applicable. So management in the outer layer, that means the management responsibility, then the change management, then kappa and resources, and then go to the core process, the product surveillance and the design controls, and the core process and production controls. So this is the structure. What is the cover in QMS? QMS covering the change management procedures, design change management, and QMS change management, also the risk review, and then corrective action and preventive action plans to eliminate the non-conformity, minimize the rejections, and the QMS improvement with respect to the safety of the process and the product, and then verify the effectiveness of implemented quality management system. Also, the management responsibility is the key part in quality management system. That the management review is the very effective tool to verify the implemented quality management system, and then internal audit and the inspection readiness. Then resource, so whatever resource you required in terms of the facility, machinery, material, and testing facility, as well as the man. Man means the human resource, the competent person or the competent profile to perform the activity who are directly or indirectly impacting the product performance and safety. And again, the product surveillance is the key component in the quality management system. The complaint handling, once you are putting your devices or services related to the medical devices, so how to handling the complaint, and how, if it is reportable to the regulatory, what is the mechanism you have. Then risk monitoring, the process risk, product risk, or the usability risk, or any risk which is arise from the post-marketing surveillance. And then also vigilance for the incident or adverse event reporting. Then the design control, also because the quality management system ISO 13485 completely based on the risk assessment process or risk-based process approach. So risk management in the design control to achieve the usability and conformity, safety of the devices or the medical device article, and input and output verification validation. Then process and the product control. Then customer requirements, supplier quality, identification and traceability. So in QMS, medical device quality management system is a structural process, sequence-wise structural process, sequence-wise activities or processes, that is called quality management system. It covers the design, manufacturing, management, complaint handling, clinical data, storage, distribution, product labeling, and so on. And most of the medical device will require some from the QMS. The complexity of the QMS will vary based on the classification of the device. Classification, that is the risk classification of the device. So in India, the risk classification of medical devices class A, B, C, and D. Class A for low risk, class B for low to moderate, and class C for moderate to high risk, and class D for high risk. So the QMS requirement may vary on the risk classification of the medical devices. For example, the companies making the medium risk class A and B or high risk devices class D device will require different QMS implementation than the companies making low risk or non-sterile or non-measurable or non-reusable surgical instrument devices like class A. So to understand the classification of your devices before building the QMS, first you identify the risk classification. On the basis of risk classification of intended use of the product, you can identify the requirement to achieve the product conformity and the regulatory compliances. You can define the quality management system for the organization. So there are 4 key components before you are establishing the quality management system for the medical devices. First, you understand your product. What are the raw materials are to be used to achieve the product conformity, and what are for that you can approach to the standards. So as per Indian MDR, as the Dr. Sarma and Mr. Sitendra already explained about the standard requirement for the medical device rule 2017 for the product and services of medical devices. First, you look for the BIS standard. If it is not available, then you go for the ISO, then IEC. If it is not available in ISO and IEC, go for the other international body, national body standards like BSEN, ASTM, AMI, and so on. And for what it is required, that is the requirement of user requirement for considering the safety and performance of medical devices. Then second component in infrastructure and work environment. So what are the facility or resource you require to achieve the product conformance? So there are so many standards and the guidelines are available to design a GMP model facility. So there are some WHO TRS technical report series documents are available how to design your manufacturing facility for the manufacturing the medical devices or the testing facility. And then there are so many ISO standards are available for the classification or the environmental control and the testing of the environmental control. Also, the regulatory requirement which has been published by the Ministry of Health, Government of India in MDR 2017, Schedule 5th, Appendix 1. For there are Appendix, that is Annexure 1 in the Schedule 5th for environmental requirement for manufacturing of medical devices. So this is for to achieve the conformity again for the medical devices. On the basis of 2 things that you can identify the requirement of the QMS. So documented requirement for QMS, what are the resources required and the risks which are associated with respect to the products, usability and product safety, and the design and the product realization and improvement. The reference which already we have in the Schedule 5th, and also we are considering for QMS ISO 134/2016 certifications, and then 21 CFR Part 820, that is for the US requirement only, that is quality management system regulation requirement. And once you frame the quality management system for the class A and B medical devices which are notified, and the devices which are not notified yet, they are come into the licensing mandatory licensing regime in 1st October 2022. So you have to establish the quality management system, then go application for the manufacturing license as per MDR requirement. And currently for the non-notified class A and B devices, voluntary registration is applicable. In that case, the regulator, that is central regulator, that is CDSCO, already explained or they have demonstrated the requirement for Schedule 5th compliance, that is QMS in India. But the manufacturer or the service provider must submit the ISO certifications in the IF framework from the accredited certification body. So we need to understand the quality to develop the QMS. To achieve the quality, we have to establish the QMS and implement the QMS. So this is the definition from ISO 9001 series. So degree of which set of inherent characteristics, that means fulfill of the requirement, and totality of features that bears the ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. Implied needs, stated means it is referred or written somewhere, and implied needs that is related to the procurement agency or maybe the customer. And it may include the usability, safety, availability, reliability, maintainability, economics, and environment. And simple definition for the quality is fitness for use. And who is adopting the ISO 1345-2016? In the earlier version 2003, that is applicable only for the medical device manufacturer and the related services. But now it is applicable to all the stakeholders, all the stakeholders who are involved one or more process throughout the life cycle of the medical devices, including a supplier or external parties providing the expert services. Considering that is primarily it is applicable for design, development, and production, storage, distribution, installation, and servicing. Other than this is also applicable to the supplier. Also, CDSCO has demonstrated the compliance requirement for the component, critical component, which are procuring by the manufacturers from their supplier. So they require the compliance for ISO 13485. So it is also applicable for the raw material and component suppliers or sub-assembly suppliers, and then medical devices and installation, calibration, and distribution services, also the maintenance services. So ISO 13485 or the QMS for the medical devices is applicable for all the stakeholders who are involved one or more process in the life cycle of the medical device, from designing to destroy, like discovery of the medical devices, and then development and deploy, then destroy. So QMS requirement for class A and B devices as per MDR 2017 for non-notified devices, the draft rule published by the Ministry of Health on 12th October 2021. So the clarification given in this gazetteer notification, that is 7 to 9, so it is clearly explained that the manufacturer who have already registered on the CDSCO portal for the voluntary registration, they will come into the mandatory licensing regime on 1st October 2021. So they have submitted the declaration or non-accredited certificate. The voluntary registration listing will be considered as a null and void or cancelled if the certificate is not submitted or certificate is not accredited from in the IF framework certification bodies. So what is the global alignment of the QMS? So you can say the QMS is GMP, both the terms are same. So earlier in DNC rule we called GMP, and after publishing the rule 2027, we are calling this requirement as QMS. In US also, currently we are also calling this GMP only, CGMP. So in India, QMS requirement given in Schedule 5th of Indian MDR 2017, the regulation is MDR. And in US, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, 21 CFR Code of Federal Regulation Part 820. And the regulation is QSR, Quality System Regulation. And in EU, the Article 10, Journal Obligations of Manufacturers, and the Appendix 9, Conformity Assessment based on the QMS and technical documentation. And in Canada, the QMS requirement given in, it is relevant to the ISO 13485. They have their own framework for the QMS, but it is related to and then Brazil and Japan, they have their own QMS requirement. It is related to the 1345 or FDA requirement. And product registration, then required regulation for compliances. So in India, that is license and permission report, and the US, that listing and 510K or PMA. So for in US, you would not demonstrate the certification or compliance for the class 1 or exempted devices. But in case of 510 or PMA, you have to demonstrate the QSR compliance by the third-party agencies. And in India, the third-party certification is available for the 13485 by the NABCB accredited certification bodies. And in EU, as per Annexure 10, the third-party certification is required preferably from the European notified body. In Health Canada, so they are reviewing the QMS requirement on their own by their regulation or the through MedSAP scheme. So more or less, if you are implementing the quality management system as per Schedule 5th, that is completely based on the ISO 13485, so more than 70 to 80% requirement, you are complying with all the requirement as per the various global regulations. Only you have to implement the requirement related to the destination country regulation. So you can see the comparison between the ISO 13485-2016 and 21 CFR Part 820 and the MDR Schedule 5th. So more or less, it is same. So you can see the cross-reference and the requirement references. So I have framed in few more slided. Then you can see the internal audit requirements in the 8.4.2, and if you see in the QSR requirement, that is 82022, and then in the Indian MDR Schedule 8.2.4, so on. So it covers if you are implementing the Indian MDR Schedule 5th or the ISO 13485, naturally you will comply with all the regulatory quality management system requirement other than the specific requirement to the destination country. So how to develop a good quality management system for the organization? So there are 3 simple steps that you will consider to identify to develop the good quality management system to achieve the product compliance, product conformity, and the compliance to the statutory and regulatory requirement. So in the product, first you have to identify the product. First, identify the device or the article. It is a medical device article or not. So for this, you will refer the gazetted notification published by the Ministry of Health, that is GSR 648 on the 11th February 2020, that is definition of the medical devices. Then identify the purpose or the intended, identify the purpose that the intended use, and then indication for use, duration of use, target of patient population, age range or disease. Identify the applicable standards for the product, process and system as per the intended use of medical device for the material, finished product, process and system. Then identify the regulatory classification, in which classification your product is fall under the which classification, like class A, B, C and D in the Indian MDR. Then you will look into the work environment or infrastructure requirement. So you have to identify what is the work environment you required, whether it is the CNC, means the clean and control area, and maybe the clean room is required, maybe biosafety level clean room is required. And then you will identify the process flow layout, considering the uniflow man material movement. So you can refer the WHO TRS for that, for the GMP model layouts, and you can. So what is the requirement in this? Adequate space for the operation and maintenance of the machinery and process, and the feasibility of day-to-day operations. So environmental conditions to achieve the product conformity. If you have the non-style product, then you do not require the clean room anymore as per the regulation, as well as If you have a textile product, you must have the primary packaging or the critical process that may directly impact the product performance, considering the biological or chemical or physical contamination. So for the contamination control, you will look into the clean room classification, which is required. Maybe it is referred in the regulation or may not be referred in the regulation or the regulator. So you will look into the intended use, how to achieve the intended use of medical devices, considering the safety and the final performance of the medical device. You will define your infrastructural requirement or the work environment requirement. Then you will look into the infrastructural requirement. Infrastructure means all the resources in terms of the man, material, machine, and method. So whatever resources you require, so this will consider in the infrastructure. Then finally, if you identify the first and 1 and 2 product and work environment infrastructure requirement, you can create a Apex manual that is based on the Schedule 5th or the ISO 13485, both in integrated mode, or maybe you can address some more quality management system requirement like the MD-SAP or 21 CFR Part 820 and another regulator in the single manual. And then procedures and protocols which are that elaborate the quality manual processes and procedures to perform day-to-day activities, and then work instructions which are applicable, and what are the record requirements to demonstrate the backward and forward traceability of the manufacturing as well as testing or other requirements which are mandatory as per the ISO 13485 or MDR Schedule 5th. So CDSCO already clarified in the FAQ, that is CDSCO FAQ MD-01 2018. So earlier to the MDR, the GMP certificate was issued from the state FDA or the central regulator, that is CDSCO. So now no more GMP certificate is required if you have the accredited IF framework 13485 certificate, because the QMS and GMP are both the same. So it is no more required for GMP certificate from the state FDA or the CLA. And then the component the critical component or sub-assemblies you are procuring from your supplier, or maybe outsourcing the activities. So in that case, the manufacturer who final manufacturer means legal manufacturer who is putting their devices to the market, they will ensure the ISO 13485 compliance requirement, maybe through the certifications or the self inspection by the original manufacturers. And then licensing, if the WHO GMP certificate is required by the manufacturer for the product registration to the overseas market, so it may request by the manufacturer to the CDSCO on the basis of the importing country request, the certificate may be issued or will be issued by the CDSCO. So these are the yes.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah,
thank you. No, please complete. Please complete. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all for this. So next time we will maybe we cover in detail in the next sessions. So if you have any question, we will take in the Q&A session. So thank you so much once again, the PhD CCI and the panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hemant, for the detailed presentation. And now we have been listening to a wide range of speakers. Professor Gupta ji had set the tone correctly by discussing about the users requirements on medical devices and the need for having quality and safety devices coming from the user industry. He did touch upon what the users are looking for from Make in India in the country. Then from the regulatory side, Ravikant Sharma ji being the body which is issuing the licenses, they have discussed about what they are expecting from the industry. And then we had expert sessions presenting to the industry about what they have to maintain. So all this sessions were all linked to industry and giving guidance to the industry. But I think now this is the time to move on to what the industry has to see. And this is the next sessions will be from the industry, because this is their time and they have to say what they think, they feel about all this transition requirements. Is the industry ready about it or not? So let's move on to our next sessions. The next two sessions are critical sessions, equally critical, because we are going to listen to the voice of the industry. So the next speaker will be from the industry, and next two speakers will present industry perspective. So let's invite Mr. P.K. Minocha, Director of Merrill Life Sciences Private Limited from Gujarat. Mr. Minocha will be talking about the challenges faced by medical device manufacturers. Let me just briefly introduce Mr. Minocha. Just give me 1 second, please. Yes. So Mr. Minocha is the director of Merrill Life Sciences, and Merrill Life Sciences is a global medtech company that believes in innovation through DSAR accredited R&D. And Merrill's core objective is to design, manufacture, and distribute clinically relevant, state-of-the-art, best-in-class, world-class medical devices to alleviate human suffering and to improve the quality of life for the communities. So last November 2021, Merrill has been awarded as Best Patent Portfolio in SME category in Life Sciences, Pharma sector, in the 7th Industrial IP Awards. So that shows their focus and focus on innovation. Headquartered in Gujarat, India, Merrill currently conducts businesses in more than 100 countries. So they have about 100% owned subsidiaries in India, USA, Germany, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, Bangladesh, and Turkey. So over to you, Mr. Minocha. We would like to hear your views representing the industry about the regulatory framework that is currently available and where we are heading. Is the industry ready? We would like to have your insights on this, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Venugopal, Rimnit Kaur, analyst, and all the audience. I am not having any presentation. I thought I will just interact with the people and will give my own ideas and experiences. See, the medical device industry today has almost about 1,000 industries, out of which around 65% industries are having annual revenue less than 10 crores. And maybe 20% plus industries having a turnover between 10 to 25 crores. So majority of 5% industries really having a large scale. This was just giving an idea how we are distributed. Now again, there was one thing which was talked about, Dr. Ravikant, at that time. I will just like to address that also. That see, for example, stents, he gave an example that stents we require personalized and it requires a lot of innovation. Now, to the benefit to entire audience, I can tell you that Indian industry is really self-reliant in the manufacture of stents of any kind, cardiac stents and peripheral stents. Now, I can tell you that before Indian industry entered, there were hardly 70 SKUs, different variants of cardiac stents. Today, there are 110 variants. That means different diameter, different length, different size, looking towards the Indian anatomy. But one thing which we must note, that having manufacturer capacities and capabilities of such kind of devices, and not only stents, we still import to the extent of 70% stents. That means 30%, and they are all regulatory approved, not only DCGI approved, but also CE approved in some cases. What I'm trying to mention here, and it's not about stents, it's about many other implants. Today, you believe that the robotic surgeries, which are perhaps best in the part in the international, are being used in India using Indian implants, orthopedic implants. And still, more than 65% of the implants are being imported. See, the prices are fixed, whether it's a multinational product or an Indian product. So perhaps when we are talking about the challenge, it's not only about regulatory challenges, it's about overall challenges which we face. And perhaps Niti Aayog, the PhD chamber, or so many people have to really have the sessions, have to have committees where we have to find that why 75% import when India can manufacture. And I can tell you firmly in this forum that if India started using their own manufactured device, and that too, they are regulatory approved, we can decrease the import by 20% or 25%. So we have to find the ways. How we can do that? I think these type of platforms, summits, more interaction with the industry, more interaction with the government authorities who can perhaps decide the framework in which these kind of things can happen. This is very important message which I give you. Now, again, I tell you that now the topic which we are talking about, classification A and B and the registration, coming back to these issues, correct? So, you know that, let me first again come and tell that I'm not here to just simply talk about the challenges. Let me really thank from the bottom of my heart the way regulatories have helped India, the way the Sugam, this website has come, the Sugam portal has come, so much clarity has come, so much classifications have come, so many problems have been solved. Just now, Dr. Ravikant also has mentioned that the time is also fixed. The time you put your application, you will be getting license. Excellent. Absolutely no way to say that efforts are not being done. Excellent way in which government is proceeding for PLI schemes, the medical device parts, and so many things. But then we are lacking something. What? Now, you are also one of the panelists, madam. I ask one small question to you. This blood sample taking device, is it very simple device, class A and B? You must also have been giving, and many of the people sitting in the panel must be giving. Tell me how they take the sample. How many attempts? First attempt, second attempt, third attempt. Even I may have been giving this sample of blood, right? Sometimes 2 attempts and 3 attempts. Devices are available. You know, infrared based devices are available. India also manufacture, foreign manufacturer, import, fine. But still, they just come with the syringe or cannula, they will do trial and error, put one strap, but then blood sample will come. I'm not trying to say, but with how difficulty. The question is the awareness. Question is the education. Now, can we have certain courses addition in the nurses? Because they are more inclined to the drugs, drug usage, simply devices, fine. Now devices are emerging. Their applications also must emerge. Or maybe a course of 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months could be generated in the society health, that when someone comes to take sample from blood, very first syringe should take out the blood. And why not? When I go to abroad, believe me, sometimes I had to do this blood test. With one puncture, the blood was given. So these are the situations I'm talking. And this is not something so difficult. On one side, I'm talking about making a stent, implants, and robotic surgery. And second time, I'm talking that blood sample from the vein. Do you think it's difficult? No. There is something missing. That missing is education. Now, again, when I come to the education, for example, madam, then see, we have such a big, beautiful portal. We have 37 categories. There are almost 350 to 400 classification of devices for general medical device classification. IVD classification is separate. It's not simple. It's a really complex subject for the people who want to start the industry. It's not really, it's given very nicely. Frequently asked questions are given, yes, but they are very specific. But even today, when Marriott-like company or a big company needs to fill the applicant, even filling the application sometimes takes a month or two, or maybe more to the small scalers, to the startups. We have, yes, we have public relation officers also, but maybe can we have more effective system, a system where you can say someone is designated, and once, a white paper is prepared, I want to manufacture this device. So these are the testing, these are the laboratories, these are the documents, these are the things you require. And I mean, very clear cut case to case. If it is given, then the time. See, I can buy new device. I can buy new, you can say profits can come back if it is not there. But the time which I lose, any amount of money I pay, I will not get back. So idea is how to short the time. And for shorting time, education is must. And education and even filling application, these are kind of education. How can we help? It's not criticism. It is something how the bold steps have been taken on one side as government is taking, a little more has to be done. When so कहते ना हाथी निकल गई पूंछ नहीं निकली, पर पूंछ नहीं निकली तो पूरा हाथी भी नहीं निकलेगा. So that effort is required. Now I can only say that just look at the data, right, madam? If there are n number of applicants filing the applications, there are 30% dropout case. They are not necessarily for regulatories. They are for regulatory, finance, land, and all. But there are certainly some for regulatory cases also. So I'm trying to say that which way we can resolve these issues. Issues are not big, right? Issues have been solved in a very nice manner. But still, when we say that for class B device, if there is an audit it will take 90 days before, of course, in class A device, you don't require an audit, fine, but it is 90 days. Then for testing, testing laboratory required document. Overall, if a person has to start industry, it takes about 12 to 18 months, out of which 10 to 12 months are from regulatory, from one reason or other. It's not only the portal is good, but then finally filling application, confusion, filing wrong and coming back to correct, and then documents, revalidation, it's all about 12 to 18 months. Can we make to 6 to 8 months? This is something which we can do. Can we create an education where we can show how to use the simple device? I want that each person who comes and collect the sample should just puncture once, and why not? Can we make all these things such a usable at that awareness, that public relations, who can create a white paper in such a way that we can do it everything in time? Can we decrease dropouts from 30% to 10%? These are the things, madam. So I didn't want to put in a presentation, just 5 minutes talk. And I can say that there are few committees, few more, you can say, interactions, not 5 minutes interaction, 1 day interaction. Industry representative, authority representative, sit together. I can tell you, both can come and move on, and they have willingness. Government also has a willingness, I know 100%. Industry also has a willingness. If they come little more together by some means, I'm sure that problems will be sorted out. And the target which government feels or company feels that we have to go from this million to that million. We have to go, we have to start using our own medical device which we produce. All those targets can be achieved. This is from my side. I thank you everyone giving me the time. And I wish that such kind of platform which PhD has created will definitely help us, will definitely help industries, and will definitely help everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Minocha, for those wonderful insights. You did touch upon the biggest gray zone at the market, which is upskilling and the need for education in the form of upskilling, which is a huge capacity building that is required. Since you were mentioning repeatedly about phlebotomy, I just wanted to touch upon the same point. This is this is a point of biggest pain in the services space now. This taking that sample collection, blood sample, is also an issue at the marketplace, because you did touch upon a live wire topic, and this is a topic which we keep discussing in the healthcare services forums regularly, because
Obviously. Yeah.
because it is due to lack of education, and then that focus on upskilling, and moreover the need to create national sample collection policies and guidelines which are not there in place. This is something which the pathologist forum is also battling out for, because they are also demanding for creating the guidelines.
Sure.
Because you did touch upon this, so I thought I'll just take the opportunity
I did touch many other points, but
Absolutely.
this was one of the important points. Yeah,
and
other
that is
points
one.
of
I
time-
just I just picked up from that. Similarly, when you're talking about making this all these interactions, the ease of doing business and handling
Yes.
regulatory affairs,
Yeah.
huge capacity building is required in the country now, because
Yes.
when the industry is getting into a regulation for the first time, it's not with devices at all. The same thing is with the healthcare services, where we do have regulations in the country, but unfortunately on the paper, nothing has moved for the last 10 years. So there also the regulations, and you talk about in the services space also regulations, nobody understands what it is and what is regulation, which is regulation. At least products, there is some awareness, but it's not the case in the services. It requires a different dimension, and more marketplace conversations need to
Yes.
happen on a regular basis. And industry should not be, it should be given more than 5 minutes, because from there, I'm just joking. Actually, that from there you get to know about what is missing, because what are those missing links at the marketplace, better than any of us. Wonderful insights you threw, and thank you so much for that. Maybe I think we need to go back and really start working on all these things. That collaboration is also required, and regulations have got to have a seamless rollout in the country, and transition has to happen smoothly. The industry's voice. And when we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, encouraging manufacturing in the country, we should not allow a single dropout.
Correct. Excellent.
Why should there be dropouts?
One point just missed, that our industry is capable of reducing the import by 25% if the right policies are in place.
Absolutely. Globally, 70%, even in US, I was listening to a conversation, more than 70% of the medical device manufacturers are MSMEs.
Yeah.
And
so we should use our own device.
Absolutely.
Definitely quality based, definitely recognized by DCGI or CE, but some mechanism must be developed. This will help Atmanirbhar.
Initial teething troubles is what I would say, initial phases, and maybe 2 years down the line, when we are going to have similar conversations, we will be talking about something else. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your acceptance.
Thank you. Let's move on to our next industry representative. We do have Dr. Sanjeev Relan, and Dr. Sanjeev is CEO of Shalex Overseas Corporation, and he's also a member of IMED, and he's the president of Preventive Wear Manufacturers Association of India. Just give me 1 second. Let me just introduce Dr. Sanjeev.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, just a second. Let me do
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. A warm welcome to all the panelists and attendees. And very thanks to PhD Chamber of Commerce, Chandigarh, for this wonderful initiative. And I'll like to thank Mr. Manocha also to set the tone right for me, because it will be now easier to discuss about the industry perspective. So I have been assigned to discuss about the industry perspective, and I'll try to present a practical scenario today without any PPT presentation. So first of all, my suggestion to industry partners is that regulations are always helpful for growth. However, it might seem a bit difficult to start with. Let's understand that the change will not come if we wait for others, or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we are waiting for, and now is the best time to change. What I can see now with reference to MDR in India is that the industry is not yet completely ready. And reason is nothing but hesitance due to self-conceived myths such as regulations are not going to be implemented, there is no need for our products to be regulated. And on the top of it is lack of complete knowledge, lack of infrastructure requirements, lack of understanding that medical devices are integral part of infection control and safety of people. So I believe that industry and regulator shall come up with a smart plan, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. What is happening, what I can see is happening is that users and buyers are not aware of any such regulation. You go to any private hospital or any government hospitals, they show ignorance to any such regulations in place. And hence the sales of substandard products by non-registered manufacturers still going on, which is a very big demotivational factor for industry members who have already started the process to comply. As Minocha sir said, there is a dropout of 30%. I will say that out of 100%, only 40% are trying, and out of that, not less than 50% are dropping out. So this is a very big hurdle for people who are trying to come up at par with the regulatory regime. Because see, ma'am, what happens? Regulations in any product means quality, and quality means cost. And it's almost impossible to compete with non-compliant product or non-registered products sold by non-registered manufacturers, and hence it is very difficult to survive. If you see, public procurement is a major contributor in growth of medical devices in India. And there also, if you see, users are asking for US FDA license, EUC devices, even after clear guidelines from DIPP. And when it comes to Make in India, they don't seek any registration or license and only focus on L1. So we need to move forward Q1, and registration with Sugam shall be made mandatory for all public procurement as an incentive to registered manufacturers. Because there must be something different. We must come up with some differences wherein we can differentiate between registered and non-registered manufacturers. And the biggest thing which is missing is awareness sessions for users and knowledge session for industry, with focus on infrastructure upgradation, training for compliances, quality, standards, and fake certification. User awareness campaigns on quality and regulations is must to start with. For industry, guidance on clean room requirements, which is totally missing. Laboratory requirements, again, most of the industries are unaware about these laboratory requirements. And the biggest hurdle is we don't have trained, competent staff. So we need certificate courses for competent persons. Then dearth of finances, hand-holding by MSME or banks as financial assistance for this major upgradation of infrastructure, because clean rooms and all these things have a cost. And one thing, all of us, all medical device manufacturers are now flooded by WhatsApp messages and mails from a few consultants who assure us about ISO 13485 MDR at such a price that you cannot believe, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. They don't even ask for number of people, number of staff, what product category we are dealing in, and they assure us that you will get ISO 13485 and MDR within next 15 days. So we need to come up with some sessions wherein we create that awareness. And my suggestion is that association shall come up with zonal group of experts for QMS and MDR, irrespective of product category, as most of the requirements are common throughout the industry. Once we achieve our first target, then category-specific training can be imparted. So I'll sum up with, I would like to say that Globe is looking forward to buy from India, and we need to upgrade to their standards. And that is possible when we comply with regulatory requirements of our country. Because MDR is designed in a way that once we comply with Indian MDR, it is in harmony with global compliances. And a final request to regulator is that last date shall be adhered to without any extensions. As if we keep getting extensions, then we will never bother to comply. My humble suggestion is that registration to the MDR shall be stopped by 31st July so that manufacturers can understand the urgency and start working towards licensing regime. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for that, the list of suggestions or your wish list from the industry. You did touch upon the relevant points, and the last point is very clear about the industry's request not to extend the timelines further. Yes, at somewhere it has to stop, and industry has to get into an action mode. I think we should keep on doing more and more conversations to bring out the industry perspective and the industry requirements. And then, if they are, because the D-Day is getting closer, and I think maybe more frequent sessions we need to do, because even after A and B category, we still have C and D categories also. Let's focus on that a smart plan that you are talking about. I think industry has to work along with the regulators to focus on that smart execution rollout plan. I think having addressed all these sessions by various experts and speakers, this is time now for the Q&A, question and answer session. Let me just quickly take few questions. Just trying to see if Dr. Ravikant Sharma ji is available. I just couldn't see him. Ramni, can you please check if sir is available?
Yeah, ma'am. His name is not showing in the list, but I'll just make him a call.
Can you please, because sir was there actually, maybe he just got dropped out or something. Just trying
Yeah. I'll just stop.
Yeah. We'll just because most of the questions are related to licensing and regulations, and try to find out if sir is joining.
Until he joins, we can
We will start with the,
yeah,
I guess so, because there are a couple of questions that we have received early, and then, subsequently also. Maybe let us just try to request a couple of speakers who are available here to address some of this. These are some of the questions from the industry. We have, let's quickly run through these questions. We have from Axio Biosolutions, Mr. Sutar asking for a couple of questions. How can we add additional model numbers to the existing Class B manufacturing license? Can we do it through post-approval change, line extension of additional model numbers? Is there any fee to do so? Will we get the amended ML or will it be a separate annexure with new model numbers to the existing ML? That is one question. Second question is, if we are a manufacturer of a non-sterile product, we get it sterilized by a low licensed sterilization vendor, get the product back to the factory, test it and release it. Will we get sterile approval in ML or non-sterile? Now, this is a question, maybe one of the experts, whoever is willing, they can answer this, please.
Yes, can I answer this question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, as far as first question, how can we add the additional model numbers to the existing Class B manufacturing license? So you can do one thing, you can access the portal and do the endorsement application. Okay. Select on the endorsement application or put the new model numbers with the original applications, same like the original applications, and upload the whatever document is required on the portal and submit to the state FDA. Then they will review the files or the technical documentation or QMS documentation which are applicable to you. If it is intended use is the same, it is not different from the original product, you are only adding the model numbers considering the physical design of the product. So the audit from the notified body is not required. Maybe it is subjected to the state FDA only. So they may issue the manufacturing additional license number will be the same, additional copy of the application with the new model numbers of the same products, right, that you have already approved from the state FDA for Class B or Class A medical devices. Now coming to the question number 2, manufacture a non-sterile product, we get the sterilized by the non-license by the vendor. Yes, in that case, you supposed to send the product to the sterilization facility And for that, the legal requirement is very clear by the regulator that you must have the long license. For class A and B, you will file the application for the long license on MD4, and class C and D, you will file application on MD8. And then after sterilization, you will get the product from the sterilization vendor, and you will do the testing, sterility testing, or other testing which is required as per your quality plan. And after the satisfactory conformity requirement of the sterility, then you can release the product from the site.
Right. We have the next. Just a second. It's not moving. Sorry. Yeah, the next question is from same organization. If a manufacturer has a non-sterile product in manufacturing license, can he get it in sterile form in ml after a valid loan license with a sterilization vendor? If yes, please suggest the way forward. I think you have answered this already, right?
Yeah.
Same one?
Yes.
Yes. Next one is, if we have a class B product approval and we want to combine it with some other company's class A approved product and sell it as a kit, same as a first aid kit, what will be the strategy to get the product approved? Will there be any audit? Will it be an endorsement of the existing ML? Shall we go for the highest class among the devices?
Okay, for this, you will consider the highest class. If you are selling in the kit, you need to consider the highest class product. Suppose you have the 5 items in a kit, and one item is class B and 3 or 4 items from class A. So the kit will be considered on the higher class, that is class B, and you will file a fresh application for the kit, considering all the components in the kit, and the kit's component that you are procuring from the licensed manufacturer only.
Right. The next question is, somebody has shared a screenshot, Mr. Anil Kumar from Mitra Medical Services from Himachal Pradesh. His challenge is, 1 second, please. Just raising the hand, I'm unable to see the screen. Yeah, we are keen to know about the general guide. Sorry, not this. It's not working. The screen is not. Give me 1 second. Let me stop it and then. Is the screen moving?
Yes, ma'am. Keen to know about the general guidelines.
No,
This
no,
is
not
the-
that. Just before that. No, this is not moving. Just give me 1 second.
Ma'am, I have sent you queries in your chat box also.
Yeah, I've seen that. Let me just, because these are the ones which came earlier. So we thought
Earlier,
we
yeah.
just complete this and then maybe, yeah, this is the one. Kindly brief the procedure to track the application submitted for Class B medical devices, Form MD3 online. Current Form MD-03 is not reflected in the website. So this is from Mr. Anil Kumar. Application submitted for, how do we track the application submitted? Form MD3. They are saying this MD3 is not listed in the portal. Hemant, you want to answer this, please?
Yeah, yes. So the MD3 is, or MD7 or MD8 or MD4 is not updated on the portal application status. This is only for the procurement or the testing and evaluation activity. Okay. Or the customized activities. So you cannot, there is no mechanism on the medical device portal, so you can identify where is your file and what is the status of the file. You will check the status only, it is in process state.
Right. So on the portal, it's not available. Fine. Next is from Sneha Bonesley. Sneha wanted to know about SAMED guidelines. So wanted to know basically with reference to medical imaging, whether regulator has released any guidelines, specifications for registration of SAMED, especially the ones used in the medical imaging.
So for software, medical devices is software. So there is a various standard available, and the reference guidelines are available in the various regulatory framework. In India, in the quality management system requirement, we are considering the ISO 1345. There is a specifications to compliance with respect to the national or regional regulation. So you will refer the applicable standard for the software as a medical device or integrated software as a medical devices. So there is no separate guidance document is available or the specific document is available in the Indian regulatory framework.
Right. The next one is from Mr. Shivam Chawla from Lifeline Medical Devices. If a company has been manufacturing certain class A and B devices for over 30 odd years, would the company still be required to apply for a test license, or can it apply for a manufacturing license directly?
No, before September 2021, maybe I am not confirm about the date. It's around 2020 or 2021. So before that, test license is not applicable for the manufacturer who are already manufacturing their class A or B devices. But now, as per the regulation, that is a medical device rule 2017. Test license is applicable if you are already manufacturing these devices 20 years or 30 years back. So test license is for evaluate your testing and evaluation the devices with respect to the applicable product standards, right? So test license is mandatory or is required by the SLA or CLLA, both.
This question is, please explain about the procedure with respect to licensing for OEM manufacturing.
Hello, Dr. Rama, can you hear me? I have joined through my mobile phone.
Oh, right,
Yes.
Sir. Welcome back, sir. They just actually.
Am I audible?
You're
Yeah, you
audible,
are
sir.
audible.
Very much you're audible, sir.
Yeah. If there is any question about regulation, please.
All
I can.
questions are for you only, sir. That is why we were just trying to reach out to you.
Sir,
So it is all about
You
licensing.
available on behalf of you. I have answered your questions.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
yes. What is the question? Can you
Yes,
repeat?
over to you, sir. The procedure with respect to licensing for
Yes.
OEM manufacturing for other companies and brands.
Yes. So, see, for example, first of all, the applicant has to be the licensed first for the devices. And if somebody is applying for OEM, then they have to apply as a loan license. That is, there is a provision. Means, if I am a loan licensee, I have to apply, but the site will be of the actual manufacturer who is already licensed. So in such cases, there is no requirement of the audit, because the original, the earlier manufacturer has already been licensed. So there is a provision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is from all the chat box questions. A drawing concept will be given by the overseas customer. We manufacture and export in our facility as a contract manufacturer. All IP lies with the customer in this situation. So do we still need to apply for manufacturing license here? 100% export, all testing, validation is carried out by the overseas customer.
Oh, I understood. This question is from Glutronics.
No, I don't.
Am I right?
No, this is actually from the chat box or something we picked up, sir.
Oh,
okay.
all right. So
okay.
either you are manufacturing for domestic market or for export, you need to have the manufacturing license.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But
for if they are claiming that these products are only for export purpose,
yes,
then some we will not audit the company, or we will not ask so many documents, because this is only for export purpose only. But manufacturing license is must.
Right.
Yes.
Even the importing countries also, they're asking for country of origin, any licensing is available and all that.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
right. Thank you, sir. Now, the next question is again, we already have registered our IVD instrument on voluntary basis as well as mandatory registration regime. Do we need to re-register our Class A and B instruments again under licensing regime with effect from 1st of October 2023?
See,
This is for
we need
IVD
to understand.
instruments.
Yeah, we need to understand the difference between registration and the licensing. Registration means there is no fees requirement, there is no audit, only 3-4 documents and the device details has to be given and it is auto-generated, right? But from 1st of October, each and every manufacturer or importer has to take license. They have to apply in the legal form. They have to submit the fees. They have to submit the device master file, the plant master file. In case of import, they have to submit the, free sale certificate, the shelf life, the stability data, all things has to be given to the licensing authority. If it is a Class A and Class B, then notified body will go there. They will audit the manufacturing side. If this is a Class C and D, then medical device officer will.
Yes, actually, as you're rightly mentioning, the registration and licensing is interchangeably used and getting mixed up, sir, even now. So that
no, registration will not be, registration will be null and void from 1st of October.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
It cannot be suspended. Yes.
During the transition.
This is the transition. Yes. This is the grace time has to be given to the applicants.
No, these are interchangeably used even at the marketplace conversations is what I'm just trying to tell you, sir. So that was more clarity will emerge maybe in the due course. The next question is, I wish to know if my manufacturer says it is Class 2A and Class 2B product. Shall I mention or categorize product as Class A and Class B product respectively for MDR-14 import license? How do I correlate the manufacturer's category and our MDR class?
Class 2A and 2B, the person who has asked this question, that is for other countries.
Yes.
In our country, that is A, B, C, and D.
Yes.
But generally, if the product is 2A outside, generally, in principle, I can say that it will be under Class B. And we have already published our classification list, so they can refer to that.
Yes.
Or if they don't find there, then they can write to us, we can clarify.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, we have 100 devices. Can we apply as a single test license, including all 100 devices? Do we need to upload technical files for manufacturing license and for each device?
For test license and for domestic license, commercial license, these two are the different things. For example, if I am a manufacturer, I want to manufacture some 100 products. So I need to get it validated in my manufacturing site. So in one test license, they can apply. It is not necessary to upload technical file. We need to know what is the justification of the quantity, what test they are going to perform, right? And according to the fees they have to submit, and we are giving the MD-13 license, that is the test manufacturing license. Now, when they have generated the data, at the time of grant of manufacturing license, they have to upload the technical files in detail. So test license and the manufacturing license, both are different things. Test license is not for commercial sale. Test license is only for testing purpose. But if they are applying in MD3 or MD7, these are the commercial licenses for commercial sale.
Right. Thank you, sir. There are a couple of more questions in the chat box, sir. I'll just a few questions. When Sir is answering, the list is becoming longer and longer. Yes. Is there any classification available for RT-PCR products?
RT-PCR is class C. We have already given in our, yes.
Yes, IVGs and this specifically
Yes,
asking.
yeah.
Is the test license required for the class A and class B devices if the devices are already in market, especially in non-regulated devices?
Yeah,
Like
this
medical
is
instruments.
this is most of the manufacturer, they are asking this question. See, if the product is already in the market and they have the data, but as per the medical device rules, we have a checklist, and if there is a lacking of the data, then there will be a problem. My point is that because if they have generated the data for 5 years back, then it will not be acceptable. Right. My request is that, my suggestion would be that, because within a week time we are issuing the test license, they should generate the data as per the medical device rules. When they are manufacturing for the so many years back, at that time MDR was not there. So if they have data, we won't mind. But most of the manufacturers, they really don't have the data. Right. So they need to take the license. We will issue within a week time or less than week time. They should just write the quantity, the justification, and which test they are going to conduct. Right. So that after generating this data, they can upload it while they are applying in the manufacturing license. Right.
Sir, your voice is floating, I guess. Rimni, can you hear? Is the sir's voice clear? It's cracking in between.
Ma'am,
Right?
he was mentioning.
Now it is clear.
Yes.
Now it is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes,
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 sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
The next question, sir. For medical equipment, this is from Mr. Ravneet Singh. For medical equipment mandatory filing, we face challenges on formats with reference, which is very specific to reagents. Can we comment section not applicable wherever section is not relevant? Can we comment that the section is not applicable?
Yes. Oh yes, we have a exhaustive list checklist.
Right.
We can't have so many lists for product specific.
Right.
So if this is not applicable, you can write not applicable.
From when will we start getting mandatory registration license for equipments?
Mandatory, this registration is under process now.
Okay.
That is registration.
Yes, mandatory.
Let me again clarify. When we issued the transition time, there was 18 months was for voluntarily and 12 months for mandatory. So for non-notified medical devices, till 1st October, they can register and they can take the mandatory registration.
Yes.
You need not to confuse between voluntary and mandatory registration. There is no difference. Only the time difference is there. But everyone has to come in the licensing regime from 1st of October. My request is that before 2-3 months, they should apply. And most of the equipments fall under the class A or B. So they can approach to the state licensing authority 2 months before or 3 months before. In the meantime, the audit can be done so that our manufacturer can have the manufacturing license before 1st of October.
We would also like to take opportunity to ask for perpetual license if any documentation formality is required, or only fee submission will be required to extend the validity once initially 5 years validity over.
So this is, you are asking about the import or about the manufacturing?
I think this is with reference to manufacturing. There's no mention whether it's an import or manufacturing, sir. This is from Mr. Ravneet Singh. So
He's
So-
actually, yeah, it is not
so
mentioned.
I'm from
I
PSC
will-
chamber.
I will
Sorry,
tell you.
I'm sorry. This is from, Biorad Labs, Biorad
Yeah, on
Laboratories.
basis of
Right. Yeah, I got it, Mr. Singh. Now I could connect. This is from Biorad, sir, actually. Must be imported only, sir.
Okay, so in case of imported, say for example, if within 5 years free sale certificate got expired, it means the regulatory documents, the valid regulatory documents along with the power of attorney and fees needs to be submitted. We can exempt the device master file and the plant master file if there is no change.
Right, sir. So
Is
next
that okay?
question is, yes, sir. Next question is, does non-sterile class A and B require any testing?
Testing.
Product testing, I guess.
Testing means they can give their in-house test report
Okay.
and we can accept that.
Right. Right.
For
sir.
class A, limited, very few documents are required
Okay.
because these are the risks associated.
Right. So next question is, we are equipment manufacturing organization for class B and class C devices. Do we have to go for manufacturing license prior to doing registration at CDSCO?
Registration you have to do. You cannot be exempted in any case. And you have to take the license. And in case B and C, you have to take 2 licenses. One is for class B and one is for class C.
Yes. Next question is, for diagnostic kits, manufacturer needs clinical samples, positive and negative. Are there any legal procedure or sources available for the samples?
Actually, this disposal of the samples, these discarded samples, they can collect from the hospitals, right? And our state licensing authority, they give the permission to collect those samples.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, this question was already asked, I guess. We have 100 devices. We have 100 devices. Can we apply a single test license, including all 100 devices? Yes.
Yes, it would be appreciated if you can split in the two test licenses.
Right. I think we have answered this question. We have already answered this. Is Schedule 5 of MDR is based on ISO 13485 latest version or old version?
This is not updated as per the latest version, but we are working on that.
Right.
Very shortly, we will update it as per the ISO 13485-2016.
Right, sir. How can we apply for medical devices? For example, OT lights, PPE kits, dental chair, etc. products which are not manufactured by company. We just purchase from another local Indian vendors and export with self-company name. Please explain.
So from where they are procuring?
India, local vendors in India, and they are exporting, sir.
So somebody must be manufacturing.
Yes.
So the manufacturer has to take license, not the trader. They can export. Trader can export. No need to take license.
Right. We submit application under MD Form 7 in July 2021 and completed the audit in February 2022 by CDSCO MD officers. And we have resolved all the queries in the first week of April, but still no license is issued and got any response from CDSCO. Please guide us how we can contact them.
I'm surprised that where this manufacturer is sitting. Why we are sending, Monday and Wednesday 2 ADC level people at our, PRO. They can write a mail to us where it is got stuck up.
Right.
Please ask this manufacturer to contact us. Immediately
Fine.
we will help.
Fine,
Immediately we will help where it is got stuck up.
Thank you, sir. Rimneet will, let's make a note of it, please. Mr. Avneet Singh, let's make a note of it. To apply
And
for,
let me ensure that within 2 days, this problem should be solved.
fine, sir. Maybe
If they have completed all the documents requirement.
That's what was mentioned, sir. Maybe there is a communication gap or disconnect somewhere. To apply for manufacturing license, does 13485 ISO 13485 certification mandatory, or complaints as per MDR 5th schedule is sufficient?
for manufacturing license? Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah, we can't
See,
hear you. Yeah.
Schedule 5 needs to be now.
Yeah, yes.
Hello,
yes, sir.
hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you
Clear,
hear me
sir.
now? Yeah,
Clear,
yeah.
clear.
Yes, yes. So when the manufacturer has provided the infrastructure, the quality, quality control, all facilities and the manpower, our notified body or the medical device officer will go there to verify the Schedule 5 requirement.
Hmm.
We are not saying that first of all you have to take ISO 13485. No. For us, they have to comply the Schedule 5. So there is no requirement first you take ISO 13485, then you take the license. That is a duplication.
Right. There are no testing laboratories for dental materials in India. Can we use in-house testing facilities to generate the required reports?
Yes, yes, but we are registering the laboratories, and very shortly for dental we will let you know.
Fine, sir.
But in
Thank
the
you.
meantime, we can accept the in-house testing report, or if the manufacturer has any NABL laboratory in their mind or in their, if they can search out, it will be accepted.
Fine, sir. What license is required if I'm importing 4 individual medical devices after securing an import license in MD-15 form and doing kitting in my warehouse to sell it as one combined product along with a new brand name product containing 4 individually approved items?
So that is I mean, the importer is importing 4 products individually.
Yes.
And they are making a kit or a combi pack over here.
Yes.
It will be considered as a manufacturing activity.
Hmm.
So the manufacturer will not be allowed, importer will not be allowed until unless they are having the manufacturing license.
Right.
Because when they are making the kit, then they have to put the label manufactured by, marketed by.
Yes.
So they have to take responsibility. It means repacking and relabeling is the manufacturing activity.
Right. What is the procedure to convert professional use IVD device to an OTC product? For example, HCG rapid test.
Yes.
What is the procedure he is asking, sir, to convert?
No, there are no such procedures.
Maybe
there are
there's
no
a
such
commercialization, something to that.
Yes,
Is what may
if
come
commercialization, you
Yes.
have to take license. Yes.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Timeline to submit the ISO 13485 certificate for a newly started organization. I'm glad that it is not as of yesterday, sir.
See, when there is a question of the registration of the medical devices on the Sugam portal now, and ministry has given the time of 31st of May 2022, that is in case of, this manufacturer or importer, and
Yes.
we have given the enough adequate time
Right.
to get it done. So until unless, see, if you are not having any quality, if today if manufacturer is manufacturing dental implants, or say for example non-notified like oxygen concentrator, and even he doesn't have the ISO 13485, what quality you can expect from that? Or you can take example of PP kit, or you can take example of the gloves which are non-notified. So my question is, they should have at least the ISO 13485 in advance.
Absolutely, sir. But it's a newly started organization. That is why I said I'm the purpose of saying as long as they don't ask for as of yesterday. Why I mentioned this is happening at the marketplace because of the fake certifications.
Otherwise, if they are marketing their product through GEM or to the government institute, what documents they will be having?
Absolutely.
At
Takes
least
time.
they should give the ISO 13485 along with the certificate of analysis.
Yes, it takes at least about 6 to 8 months minimum, even for however small the organization is, in 1 year even to obtain a certification. So it is
But
not-
we have given, more than 18 for class A and class B, we have given the 30 months.
Yeah, this is a newly started organization, no, sir. So these questions keep coming for the new enterprises. Still, it is the same. They have to become operational. Takes about 8 to 10 months, 12 months to get it. So that is why it is. Next question. Our company Shiva Products, Mumbai-based manufacturers of dental products, we fall under non-notified medical devices under class A and B. We have completed our registration of all our products. After this stage, as per the last webinar, we have to fill up form MD3 along with the payment to proceed further with uploading of SMF and DMF. But we are not able to locate these forms anywhere in the portal and to upload these documents and to make the payments. Please guide us.
Did they receive any application number
Hmm.
when they have uploaded the document and fees? Did they
Yeah.
get any application number?
Okay, we need to ask.
So
we
we
need to
wish-
ask them to reach out.
Yeah, we wish to know what is the application number,
Hmm.
because currently it is not under licensing, but definitely it should go to the proper place.
Right. They mentioned that, they had been to the Thane FDA office, but we are not able to gather any information on how to proceed further in this matter.
So if you can note down that point, they
Yes.
can write to us through a mail. We can update him
Yes,
immediately. Where this? Yes.
Yes. Rimnit, I'm requesting your office just to make a note of this. This is
Yeah.
This is the
Rimnit
request from
Kaurji,
Mumbai.
you have a great Rimnit Kaurji, you have a great responsibility today.
Yes, sir, sure.
We will coordinate. Mr. Shiva Products from Mumbai, Rimnit, please make a note of it.
Yes.
Sir is so patient in answering all the queries. Thank you for that, sir. We really appreciate. How
And
can
you
we?
are
Thank
also
you.
from taking up all the queries.
We do that,
Thank
sir.
you, Lord.
Sir answers each and every query, and that is why the industry always comes and attends all the sessions with that dedication, because sir never says no to the industry.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So how can we apply for medical devices? That is OT lights, PP product. No, I think we have answered this. This we have addressed already. Yes. After 1st October 2022, without import license from CDSCO, can we import a class A and class B medical device?
No,
But we have registered the device in voluntary scheme,
no, you can't.
right?
Voluntary and mandatory registration will be null and void after 1st of October.
Yes.
Point number 1, we are accepting the applications, we are reviewing, we are examining.
Right.
And we are requesting our all importers to file their applications so that we can work whole night on 31st of September and we can dispose of all licenses in advance.
Excellent.
We will keep ready all those applications.
Right.
So that is our headache, not the headache of importer.
Right. Thus,
They
the
should
blood-
apply.
Thank you, sir. Thus, blood transport boxes and refrigerators, class B, need to be tested against any specific product test certificate.
Not required. Testing means when there is a equipment, they have to follow the BIS standards which are available. It's not mandatory. See,
So,
we
sir.
can't insist for testing of each and every product.
right.
The manufacturer responsibility is that they have to, test in-house testing with the compliance of BIS standard.
Right.
Yes.
And so for surgical items, only test report of raw material is sufficient?
No, as well as the final product,
Right.
finished product. Yes.
Okay, this is a long question. What is the basic requirement for place, minimum area required, type of infrastructure, etc. for manufacturing license for a class A, B, non-regulatory medical electronic systems? This
They should refer to they should, go through the schedule 4.
schedule, right?
Yes, there is a requirement mentioned, what is the qualification, what is the manpower, and as such the area is not defined. Area should be adequate. So if you are a professional manufacturer,
how can you comply with the ISO 13485? Definitely it will be given only after auditing all these things.
Right, sir.
So adequate area should be there. It should not be that in one room you are manufacturing the IVD kits and in the another room you are manufacturing the cardiac stent. It should not be. There should not be a cross contamination. The quality management system has to be complied.
Right, sir. And so from Shiva Products from Mumbai, Mr. Shiva has responded, sir, you were asking, is there an application number there? Yes, there is an application number. He has mentioned it. We will share it. Maybe we'll request Mr. Shiva to write to you also.
Yeah, you please ask the Shiva applicant. They should write a mail to us, or if they are Delhi based or somebody is there, they can meet our PRO, our officers, on Monday and Wednesday. They are officiating in the PRO office.
Right.
So they are most welcome. They can have a cup of tea with us.
There is a registration number. There's an application number also. He has quoted and he has responded to your question, sir. The next one is, this is an interesting question. As we are importing medical devices related to A and B class and supply to the local and government hospitals, kindly clarify the procedure shortly. This is for what actually? I don't know. This is
in the government sector. In the government sector, generally the supply is through the tender process, right? So for tendering, you must have the manufacturing license with you. And what other, this requirement, like your capacity to import, how much quantity you have sold previously for the 2-3 years, they ask certain documents.
The next question is, do this 3-ply surgical mask, filtering half mask, isolation gowns, scrub suits, PPE coveralls, manufacturers, do these manufacturers need MD3 license?
Yes, certainly. These are the medical device, yes or no?
Yes, yes, very much.
These medical device fall under class A and B, yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
So they need the manufacturing license, but from 1st October.
Yes, we'll ask Dr. Sanjeev also to just do more focused sessions repeatedly again from PWMAI. Next one is external evaluation mandatory for class C and D IVD kits?
The external evaluation for the kits which we are asking, we have displayed in our website. There are 20 type of diagnostic kits like typhoid, like HIV, HBsAg, HCV, blood glucose, right? Not for all. We are not asking the external evaluation report for clinical chemistry reagents. So we are accepting their in-house reports.
For a medical device, the shelf life is not applicable. Means in this case, we may avoid the requirement called stability validation data.
If for non-sterile product, stability data is not required.
Right.
But for sterile products, they have to generate the data.
Yes. What are the ISO class requirements to pack off class A and B gloves? Hemant,
You can
sir wanted to. Yes, sir.
You can refer to the appendix of Schedule 5. It is clearly articulated there.
Right, sir. If I have applied for a class A device, ML, if I want to add class B device, will I need to just add the additional device?
Yes, you have to apply as an endorsement. So I want to reiterate this. This is a very, very important question. Say, for example, you have taken the license for class A and class B, and you want to add other product. So you need not to choose fresh. You have to choose the endorsement.
Right.
And there is no need to submit the site fee. Only you have to submit the product fee only.
Okay, sir. We'll come to the last two questions, sir. Can we add a medical device of the same risk? 1 second, sir. Can we add a medical device of the same risk class B medical device, but different generic name in already applied application? or do we have to apply different application?
No, they have to apply as an endorsement.
Ah, okay. Right.
Not fresh application. If they are applying fresh application, then the results, this license number will be different, and there will be a mismatch.
Right.
Again, I'm telling you that if an applicant is holding a license for class A and class B, and they are going to endorse the product, the license number will be same. So there will be no problem for changing of the packaging material.
Right.
All right.
Right, sir. This question, before you actually joined, somebody was asking something similar to this. Since we are manufacturing a certain medical device for the past 7 years, in this case, do we need to submit or apply a test license when applying for a manufacturing license? Am I audible, sir?
If the product is not yet approved.
Your voice is floating, sir.
The product is new. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now better, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So can you repeat your question?
Yes, this question is, since we are manufacturing a certain medical device for the past 7 years, do we have to submit or apply a test license when we are applying for a manufacturing license?
If they have adequate data.
Okay.
As per the medical device rule, no need to apply for test license.
Right.
But preferably they should apply and they should generate the fresh data.
Right.
As per the medical device conditions, norms and guidelines.
Come to the last question, sir. Following issues faced while filling the MD3 online. Product category not available for analyzer instruments. It says 4th schedule appendix 1 part 1 is compulsory for IVD, but MDR does not show part 1 for 4th schedule under appendix 1.
In that case, you can choose others. There are no categories are mentioned. In case of others, you can mention for analyzer and instruments, whatever the products are not available, you can write not applicable in our checklist.
Right.
Same checklist will be for licensing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that extensive responses, extensive discussion, trying to clarify each and every doubt from the industry, sir. There's one question now. Is license applicable for semi-finished raw materials, medical devices?
No, you have to prove that. This is a really a complicated question, very complex situation. You are saying that it is a semi-finished. I will say that is a bulk.
Okay.
But if you marketing this product as a bulk, it means it is ready to use. But if you are, importing the component, the raw material, then import license is not required. If you are holding the manufacturing license.
Right. Thank you. And let us close the Q&A, please, because sir has been answering all the questions. I think any doubts, any more questions, request.
They can send us on mail.
Yes, they can send a mail to PhD Chamber with the help. They will actually coordinate with the regulator's office and take the inputs from the experts, and they will try to address all this. There is let's close it because the questions keep coming. There's maybe one question from, for some reason we are not able to register for a particular product. It is under imports after 1st October. Will we be able to import or sell that product?
No, they have to take the license.
Right.
I will not use the word registration now. If they are taking registration, then up to 1st October they can market.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So we have come to the concluding part of the session. Rimnit, I think we can just go ahead with the conclusion notes, right?
Yeah, ma'am. Would you like to sum it up first?
Yes, that's what it is. And as I was mentioning, the session started off with a positive note from Guptaji. Where Guptaji has really brought in a different dimension from healthcare services perspective. He really did set a good tone for today's session, and listing out what user industry services, healthcare services sector being the user industry, their enthusiasm and looking forward to see the success of Make in India, and their inclination and interest to help this Atmanirbhar Bharat to grow. So Mr. Gupta has really brought in a different dimension. That was a very positive note. And then we had moved on to sessions. Just a second. The subsequent session, yes. Then we had the session from Ravikant Sharma ji. Dr. Sharma has listed out the recent amendments, notifications, and the critical regulatory requirements in a nutshell, actually in a nutshell, from April 2020 to now, even much prior to, before that April 2020 announcement, he has captured about the journey of MDR-17 and how it came into a picture from 2018, and then 2020 announcements and the transition timelines given to the industry to implement the regulatory requirements for various categories of products, and then the various notifications related to quality management systems and product standards. He has thoroughly listed out all the requirements, the critical points and the critical requirements, and that really should help the industry to work on a plan of action, maybe like with some smart plan, as Dr. Ilan was mentioning. To ensure that the transition process becomes seamless. Yes, there may be some stumbling blocks and challenges. The regulators are always available, and industry can always reach out to them and to find out solutions to the challenges. Then we had a session from Mr. Satyendra, who has really touched upon the product compliance requirements, because industry keeps asking for more and more queries with reference to products, testing, product certifications, product testing, and then, product registrations, listing in the portal. So more and more focused conversations are also required on this product compliance requirements, and maybe guiding, throwing more light to the industry about the product standards and testing infrastructure that is available in the country, whether it is for domestic market or to the importing countries. Mr. Satyendra has brought in that dimension of the product compliance very clearly. Then we had a session from Hemant. Hemant did touch upon a detailed session presentation on quality management system requirements that are needed for the Indian market based on our regulations, as well as for the international markets, because every importing country has its own set of regulations and Qms requirements. He has shown how our MDR Schedule 5 is actually in alignment with the global requirements, how it is in alignment with ISO 13485. By and large, all these things are have a global alignment, which makes it easy for the manufacturer when they try to go to the global markets. That was an exhaustive presentation from Hemant. And then we did have very good insights from Dr. Minocha from Merrill Life Sciences, who really brought in a different dimension and perspective and wish list of the industry, where he has expressed a need to have more and more marketplace conversations just to ensure that the ease of doing business really results in guiding the manufacturers, and then helping the manufacturers and seeing to it that marketplace does not have any dropouts. Medical devices sector is attracting a lot of investments, and then new entrepreneurs are entering into this domain. This is even many startups are entering into this, from a prototype to an innovation to a product, and then they are getting into entrepreneurship. They are becoming manufacturers. So the marketplace has got different wish list and requirements. The innovators look at things differently, and early stage businesses look at things differently. Mid-sized businesses, large enterprises, their requirements are definitely different. And Dr. Minocha did list about a couple of things that the industry has to act upon, where they also need the support and guidance from regulators. He has touched upon the need to do education and more capacity building initiatives and upskilling initiatives, which are crucial to ensure that this execution of this regulatory requirements becomes a smooth exercise for the industry. And then we had a session from Dr. Sanjeev, who's a member of IMED and from Preventive Wear Manufacturers Association. He touched upon the need to have a smart plan, an actionable plan, to ensure that the industry falls into that regulatory requirements and the framework. And very surprisingly, the industry says shouldn't be an extension. Normally, the industry keeps asking for extension all the time, and Dr. Sanjeev mentioned very clearly that no more extensions, and industry should fall into this framework of meeting requirements. And one point he touched upon is very, very critical and vital, that education to the user industry. The hospitals and the doctors and the diagnostics facilities or any other healthcare services organizations, their understanding and their connect with the regulatory requirements of the healthcare products is it's actually very, very negligible. And so somewhere something needs to be done. Maybe we have to place a request to the regulator's office also to look into this, because user education, education to the user industry is also very critical. Dr. Sanjeev did touch upon it, and maybe more and more conversations. PhD can take it up. We have Professor Gupta ji from PGI Chandigarh, and PGI can take forward this engagement of creating more conversations with the user industry, educating them about the regulatory requirements, because it is their supply chain. They need to ensure that their supply chain also, they have vendors who meet all these compliances and requirements. It's very, very critical. Maybe PhD chamber can take forward this, take up this initiative also.
Sure, ma'am. We would like to thank all our eminent panelists for sharing their valuable inputs during the program. And special thanks to Dr. Ravikant Sharma ji for very patiently taking the queries of all the participants. And also to all our attendees, for the session started at 2:30 p.m. and it's already, 3.5 hours. So people are really motivated to attend these sessions. And the next upcoming session is Understanding ISO 13485, Certification for Medical Device. And this is being planned on 15th of July. And we would request you again to kindly, attend our upcoming session as well. And special thanks to Mera Life Sciences for sponsoring this event. And a very special thanks to Rama ma'am for moderating the session so well. And you took all the queries of the participants, and the speakers, they really, answered and participated. So we are all thankful for this wonderful session, and look forward to see you all on 15th of July. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Rimni ji, one point I want to mention.
Anji sir.
I would like to thank you also for organizing such a wonderful workshop, and especially Dr. Ramaji also for moderating some wonderful session. And I'm very happy that Sanjeev ji has pointed out that there will be no further transition. So that message should go to the industry. Dr. Ramaji, you are listening?
Yes, very much, sir.
Yeah.
Very much,
So
sir.
this message should be clear.
Definitely. Yes, sir.
No further transition. Everybody should come in the flow of the regulation.
Yes.
We are there for you. We are there for support you.
Yes.
Whatever the queries, what is the problems, we are facilitator, right? So everybody should maintain the quality. We have to think about the patient safety.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
So participants, if you have any queries, you can write to us, then we can share with Dr. Ravikant sir, and we'll try to, resolve the issues whichever you are facing. Thank you.
Thank
Closing
you.
the session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye.
weekend.
Thank you. Bye.